Good evening and a very warm welcome to the beautiful Swiss town of Villars. We are live here after an extraordinary weekend's action already. It was the speed final yesterday, but tonight it's time for the lead final. Unfortunately, Charlie Bosco, regular presenter, couldn't be with us this weekend, but nonetheless I have GB team superstar Will Bosey alongside me. Will, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's talk about the semi-final a little bit. Two incidences really in the semi-final. One was your own climbing and one was Janja Garnbret. Let's talk about Janja initially. We actually missed it on the live stream. Janja climbed the entire route with no chalk bag. Where we were watching it from, the sun was actually directly on our screen. We couldn't actually see the fact that her chalk bag dropped pretty much at the first move. Not only did she top the route, she topped it with no chalk bag. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's something you don't really expect to happen. I mean, when you think lead climbing, you think chalk bag, you think resting. And there was a lot of times actually on the wall you could see she went to chalk up and was like, oh yeah, it fell off. But it didn't seem to phase her much, did it?
No, well, she found a top on the route anyway. Yeah. And how was the semi-final for you? You were competing out there this morning.
I mean, it went good until it went bad. I just went to readjust a hand and just went flying off a volume. But I mean, I didn't feel too pumped, so I know I'm in good shape for the next couple of comps.
And good shape, yeah, like you say, Chamonix just coming up in just a few days' time. Well, there you can see it. That's the wall up against the climbers tonight. On the right-hand side, that's the lead wall. Left-hand side is the speed wall. And that is the scene in the crowd as it is at the moment. Big scenes here last night for the speed competition. And very shortly, as I said, we'll be getting underway with the lead competition. And the atmosphere out there this morning was pretty hot. The weather conditions really improved for tonight's final.
Yeah, I mean, obviously high up in the mountains there's not much cover, so when the sun comes out it is warm. But it's dying behind the hills now and it looks like it should be really good conditions for all the climbers.
It's going to be the men's final first, followed by the women's final. We'll get to Chamonix. The order will switch around. The women will go first, followed by the men. Definitely some spaces out there at the moment in the arena, but that will shortly be filling up as the presentation of the athletes will start very shortly. Well, we've been having a look at the routes. You can see there on the wall, the left-hand side is the men's line. That's what we're going to be seeing first. 40 moves in the men's competition, and no shortage of tricks on there as well.
Yeah. I mean, we were reading it earlier, and it looks like 2 dynos, and then again more like palm down moves, like we saw in the semis, and everything else I guess you can imagine in between.
Yeah, I think the route setters this weekend really have kind of adopted many of the bouldering style moves, put it in the routes. We saw a jump in the men's qualifiers. We've seen quite a few tricks in the women's qualifiers. Lots of holds that actually haven't been used this season at all. New holds for the competitors, which is awesome, I think, in my opinion. That's caused a few upsets on its own.
Yeah, definitely. There's been big names that missed out on the semis and the finals, I guess. I have to say, from speaking to all the competitors, when we came out and saw the qualifying routes yesterday, everyone was just blown away. Everyone thought each one of those routes could have been a semi-final or a final. There was so much care and effort, I think, put into setting them. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, huge team here, led by head route setter Adam Pustelnik. We always try and get him in the booth at some point during the final, so maybe if he's not too stressed, we'll kind of try and collar him and see what he's thinking for this final show. But like you said, Will, they just put so much care and effort. They've been here for over a week setting for this competition. Team 5 strong team of route setters, and I think they've not disappointed here tonight either. You can see on the left hand side, that's the men's route that will be up first. Big blue volumes, bit of a crack at the bottom, but not conventional crack climbing, luckily for some. Up into some new fiberglass holds, working away for a bit of a jump in the middle of the wall, and then the route slowly works its way right through the big pink volumes and up into a traditional route climbing finish, a bit of crimping at the top of the wall. And that's kind of the theme I think we've seen throughout this competition really. Quite a few jump moves, quite a few fiberglass moves, but at the top of the wall it really seems to go into traditional route climbing.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say that was a big relief for me in the qualifiers when boxed out my mind, get to the top, get to the crimps, and you can just dig in again.
This is the view backstage. Tomohiro Narasaki is just looking a bit of nature watching or something, because that's not the direction of the wall, so maybe he's just checking his binoculars work. But it's very rare that we get an insight behind the wall like this. This is the forward isolation zone. There is a holding area in the town, 5 minutes drive away, something like that. Better facilities there potentially. This wall behind is very, very short, very few small holds on it. And what's it like when you train for months and months and months? You're a World Cup climber. You come to a venue and your wall behind the main competition area is just so small and so limited. Is it hard to kind of get into your rhythm before you come out?
It's definitely this isn't the first time I've done this comp, so I'm used to the setup, but the first time you come to a comp like this and the wall is not what you expect and warm-up is a bus drive away, it is quite a big shock and can be quite hard to get your warm-up right, and timings between having to warm up and then get on a shuttle to get over here, make sure you're in time to view the route and get tied in. It's definitely tough. I think it's a lot harder than it would be if the warm-up wall was just behind, but different challenges, I guess.
Well, and added to the challenge this weekend, if you've seen any of the qualifying highlights or semi-finals this morning, the heat has been a real factor here. And I have to say, even us in the media, we've been really struggling with the heat, but the athletes seem to have dealt with it quite well this weekend, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I've not seen too many sunburnt people, so that's always
that's a first for climbers.
Always a first.
Especially if you're from Scotland like Will, there's hiding from the sun is the main priority.
Yeah, well, I've actually been walking around in a jacket all weekend, which sounds ridiculous, but just so I don't get sunburnt. So I've had to have a long sleeve jacket with a hood on it. It's, a bit silly, but
You've got to do what you got to do to get through to the semi-finals in the Lead World Cup. And how is it for the athletes as we get ready for the final here? The athletes backstage, you can see just the shot. The men are back there at the moment. The women will be back in the further isolation area. You've been in a Lead World Cup final before, Chamonix last year. Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, last year.
Last year, yeah. You've been in the Lead World Cup. What goes through the head of the athletes before they come out here?
I'm not sure what goes through the head of everyone else, but I think it's mostly excitement. I think but once you make it to the final, everyone in the final knows they've got a chance of making the podium or winning or achieving what they want to achieve, so you've kind of got the stress of the qualifiers and semis gone, so I think everyone's just pretty relaxed. It's a pretty friendly environment, everyone's chatting away and just excited to see what the route is.
So you think someone like Maichi Narasaki, he'll be coming out first here tonight. Obviously his brother's coming out last in first position. Pretty amazing to see the brothers through. But Maichi, it's his first senior Lead World Cup final. Obviously he's no stranger to finals because he's such an amazing athlete, the 20-year-old, fourth in the World Championships for 2018. So he knows his way around the block, but I wonder if there's an added thing, this being your first World Cup.
I think definitely when you make your first one, it's always like, you just go out and it is completely fun. I don't think anyone that makes their first final will come out and put pressure on themselves. Maybe in the next one he'll be like, okay, this time I want to win, but I'm sure he'll come out and he'll have a smile no matter how he does.
Yeah, we will see. The finalists will be presented very shortly. It is just turned 8 o'clock exactly, so we're looking forward to seeing the athletes tonight. Like we said, it's going to be the men followed by the women. If you have just joined us, welcome for a fantastic evening of climbing. Will Bosey and Mike Langley here with you this evening. The men are just being presented to the audience. Far right, working our way left, Maichi Narasaki on the far right, first Lead World Cup finals. World Cup winner from Briançon last year. Alexander Magus just to his right hand side. Yufei Pan, one of the real dark horses from China, coming up behind him. Kokoro Fuji, no stranger to a bouldering World Cup podium, will be after him. Yuki Hada, another Japanese athlete, just to the right of Yufei Pan and Kokoro Fuji, followed by Sascha Layman, Domen Skofic and Tomoa Narasaki. A really, really impressive lineup. And that man there, I would say potentially slightly disappointed with his semi-final route, Alexander Magos. He felt like he could have done a bit more, was struggling with a few hill hooks actually on the semi-final, and based on what we saw from him and Jakob Schubert in qualifiers,
yeah, it was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, Magos could be the one to watch tonight for me.
Yeah, well, I always love, there's always one comp every year where Magos will wear sunglasses in qualification or the semi-final, and it was in qualification obviously yesterday that he was doing that this year.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you can watch it back on the IFSC Facebook and YouTube channels. You can see Alexander Magos wearing the sunglasses during the route. I think if you're going to wear sunglasses, you've got to top the route, and luckily he did.
Yeah.
That was Kokoro Fuji. Has made league finals in Crown in 2018, but like I said, historically a very, very good boulderer. Yuki Hada just getting the intro, 7th lead finals for Yuki, 3rd in Chamonix 2017, so definitely no stranger to the competitions in the finals. 4 Japanese athletes going through. Again, just a Japanese and Slovenian onslaught this weekend.
Definitely. I mean, 4 finalists, that's half the male finalists Japanese. That's a big statement.
Big statement, but there is a big crowd here and there going to be cheering for that man right there. I'm sure you could hear that ambient noise over the microphones here. Sasha Layman, just a 21-year-old Obviously, the crowd favourite being from Switzerland. Actually, great season for him. 4th in Chongqing bouldering this year. So Sasha's really stepped up. Traditionally, I would say. I mean, you know him better than me. A lead climber, but really developed his bouldering over the last season or so.
Yeah, because we're the same category for youth, we competed all the way through the youth season and stuff. He never really did the boulder comps as such. He did a couple, but yeah, this year he really stepped up and absolutely smashed out the bouldering World Cups as well, which was really cool to see.
Somebody who's not shy of a lead World Cup final and winning the overall lead championships in 2016. Domen Skofic next to him. Tomoa Narasaki. Tomoa winning the qualification, winning the semi-final round. I think a bit of a surprise for some.
Definitely a surprise. I think a lot of people were expecting Jakob or Alex to be at the top going to the finals, but I mean, Tomoa is obviously from Pastures Out. He's good enough, and yeah, obviously smashed it out.
I mean, it's amazing to win the bouldering season overall, and then at the first lead World Cup come out and win the semi-final round. I think Tomoa, he's almost getting into Yanya territory of floating off into a different ballpark to some of the other athletes.
Definitely, and then on the speed wall he's running 6.5 every run pretty much, which, I mean, out of the combined athletes, that is amazing. Yeah.
So the 8 men do go into their 6-minute observation period. I'm sure that will give us an opportunity to see who's talking with whom. I'm sure it will be the Japanese together.
Yep.
At the moment, Domen and Yufei Pan just kind of side by side, but potentially maybe not speaking the same language. We will see. It's always such a fascinating process, this. We're actually right surrounded by the athletes in our central commentary position here, right under the wall. So we're going shoulder to shoulder with some of the best lead climbers in the world right now. This is the men's route then, the first good look. The black and the blue section at the bottom there is kind of conventional shoulder climbing in a crack, up to a bit of a jump down and left before working your way onto these really powerful undercuts. 2 crimps on the blue ball there, then jump into this new section of volumes to a big cone volcano hold, I should say. Big purple volcano on the volume. Another jump there, potentially not a difficult jump, that one, but one for the crowd. Working your way into what looks like a brutal headwall section of very, very bad crimps. A sequence that we don't want to give the game away too much at this early stage, because we want to let the athletes really do the talking there. A few tricks at the top of the wall and potentially a Hollywood finish. We will see. Well, first impressions of the route, like we said, 40 moves. If you were out there tonight and you came out with a 6 minutes observation period, what would be your first reactions?
Straight away I'd be like, oh, they've made the start a pretty sketchy move. That's not what I wanted. Always puts you a bit on edge. But apart from that, looking at it, it looks absolutely amazing. It looks like so much fun, and as long as you stick the start, you're going to have a good day.
Well, there was one athlete, I can't remember the name unfortunately off the top of my head, in qualifiers who didn't stick the start, but ended up redeeming himself on the second route, but fell off basically at the first quick draw, which nobody wants to see. Very, very possible with these route setters, though. I think they put the moves in right from the get-go, and they were asking questions of the climbers right from the very beginning.
Definitely, and with these walls, they are steep, but they're not super long anymore. And if you're gonna throw off these climbers, you have to make it hard from the beginning.
Yeah, 40 moves is a relatively normal amount of moves. It's in terms of the endurance climbers or difficulty climbers like yourself, 40 moves is that's a standard training lap, really.
Exactly.
The problem is it's 40 very, very hard moves. I think it might be more
definitely.
The issue.
But that's the point. If you had an easy beginning, and that puts it down to 35 hard moves, so I think it has to be hard.
Yeah, the wall here, 40 degrees in the middle, 15 meters total vertical height. Total distance climbed, not quite sure, but it's quite far with the amount of overhang they've got here, and the way that the route setters play with the lines, play with the volumes. Certain sections certainly become steeper than that. You can see the Japanese trio, 3 or 4. Tomoa joins in now, have a bit of banter. Always so fascinating just looking at the guys.
What do you think Tomoa's saying? This bit looks really easy.
He's saying, why is there a huge jug on the middle of the wall? I think the issue is going to be jumping to the jug. One person that we have to talk about a little bit is Alexander Magus. His style, I would say, is the dynamic, less dynamic style, more static style. Occasionally, when you've got a jump in a route, he's not favoured it. There was a jump in Arco finals last year where he fell off right at the bottom. Let's see. It might have been the year before with Arco.
I think it could have been the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It was sort of a weird one round the corner.
Yeah, weird jump round the corner very early on in the route. There's big hype. Alexander Magus, he's in the World Cup, he's coming out, and unfortunately fell off the jump right at the beginning. Luckily, this jump is 4 or 5 quick draws off the ground for the first one, then the second one. It shouldn't be too difficult. It's about halfway up on the route.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's obviously very well known for his outdoor climbing more than competition climbing. You know, he's climbed 9B plus and, well, horrendously hard boulders. I can't actually remember all the ones he's done, but yeah. So I think obviously outdoors the style is very different. In the last year he has trained a lot though for comps. So
is his focus? It seems to have switched from outdoors to comps for the time being.
Definitely. So I think he should. Hoping he should be okay with this route and the dynos. He's been looking, obviously on qualification, he looked good on all the dynamic moves and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's true, very, very true. I would say the dyno on the men's qualifying route was potentially a fair bit harder than what these two dynos are looking here tonight. But that's the thing with a dynamic move, it's risk. The route setters have put a fair amount of risk on the routes here tonight. Low percentage moves, quite a few low percentage moves, and a jump tends to be pretty low percentage. So you get all 4 points. We will see. We certainly don't want to lose too many climbers in a single move. We saw it with the women's semi-final. Move 28 plus, I think it was nearly 10 climbers all falling off at the same move. Basically, if you got through that move, you got to the final tonight. Men's route was a bit more, the field was pretty well spread. Tomohiro Narasaki obviously finding the highest point on the wall. See on the clock on the bottom right of your screen, just 14 seconds left of this observation period. Does seem to have actually stopped at 14 seconds. We will see what's going on with that. We can see one behind us, 4 seconds remaining. There we go, it's all caught up.
Observation is always strange because it's 6 minutes, which is quite a long time. But when you're actually trying to go through a whole route, it feels like 2 minutes. You go out and then you've read it once or twice and they're like, right, time to go back in. You're like, oh, already?
I have to ask you, Will, like, how much, if you were to pick a percentage, how much of a percentage of the route do you remember when you're in the isolation zone?
So when you read for semis or finals when they're this complex, probably 95%, and that's including foot positions, body positions, where you're going to clip from, any rest potentially. I wouldn't have said I remember 100%. I could turn around though and recite the whole route probably, and I imagine most of the competitors could as well.
Let's have a look at the official starting list for tonight then. We'll touch a bit on that again in a minute. Maiji Narasaki will be out first, followed by Alexander Magus. Yufei Pan from China, the amazing all-round climber, will be followed by Kokuro Fuji. There'll be 2 Japanese athletes in a row, with Yuki Hada followed by, and wait for the moment when the crowd makes some noise for this man, Sascha Layman, multiple World Cup lead finalists. And the top end is very heavy indeed, with Domen Skofic and Tomohiro Narasaki coming out last. Potentially Domen and Sasha there as the more favoured lead athletes. It's going to be really interesting towards the end of this lead final, I think.
Definitely.
That is the men's starting list. After the men's final, we'll be bringing you the women's, which is another stacked field. This is what the women's will look like. Yulia Shanodi creeped through one of the climbers just to score 30 plus, which was just past that real bottleneck in the women's semi-final. 2 Slovenians after that, Lučka Rakovic, Mia Krampel, followed by 3 Japanese, Natsuki Tani, Akia Noguchi, Ai Mori, then a real surprise from 15-year-old Chaeyun Xiu, and then the legend Janja Garnbret coming out last. That's not the first time I've said that, but Janja climbed the semi-final with no chalk bag. We've time and time again, that's going to be one of those moments that are going to stick with climbers for a long time. She could have easily not made the final with such a mistake of losing the chalk bag at the bottom of the wall. But that will be the women's lead final that will happen after the men's. So let's hear from a few of the finalists now.
Whole comp I'm enjoying a lot, like already yesterday, and this route also. I was a bit afraid because it was a really different route, but I read it quite nicely and I climbed really well, and I'm happy with my climbing and looking forward for finals. Of course, healthy pressure, but I'm just like looking forward to it just to enjoy.
I felt good in the quali, so I had a good feeling for the semis. but I have to admit I was nervous before the semi-final route, and then when my chalk bag fell off, I was a little bit more nervous. So luckily I have good teammates who calmed me down, so I could calmly climb the route. I feel very excited. Hopefully my chalk bag won't fall off this time, but I'm really excited to climb again later.
Yeah, I felt really good during semi-finals. It was nice to be back in a league competition after such a long break. Yeah, the route was hard from the beginning, some tricky moves, but I got a good fight in the end, and I'm really happy to be in finals now tonight here in Switzerland.
It was hard at the middle of the route, like every year in Villars. It's always the same profile of the routes, some bouldering moves at the middle. So yeah, I was very happy to do it, and I'm very happy to start a season like that, and I'm so excited for tonight.
Welcome back to Villars. If you have just joined us, that was a little insight. Just 4 of the athletes, one including Yanua and her chalk bag incident there from the semi-final round. Really interested to hear from a couple of the athletes. Mike Langley and Will Bosey here. We are live for the lead final, and we are very close to introducing the first athlete, which will be Meiichi Narisaki, who will be coming out for his battle on the final route with just 6 minutes ahead of him. As you see our commentary position down there at the bottom of the wall. Give him a wave, Will. Great spot we've got here right under the bottom of the wall. And the first athlete will be our 20-year-old Meiichi Narisaki, 4th in the World Championships in Innsbruck, but his first senior World Cup event final in the lead. That's our first look at the route then. And as Will said, the first move is not a gimme either. Straight off the deck, straight into it. See that first move, little palm down on the left hand, Meiichi making it look pretty simple.
Yeah, didn't seem to struggle there.
This first section we're getting to see side on in these cracks, so it kind of looks like a crack, but there's no hand jams in there. There are foot locks though, so it's just a couple of screw-ons on either side that you can use as side pulls or gastons. You can see him using a side pull there. He's going to work his way through this bottom section. The little foot locks that he actually seems to have pretty good technique on, and he's going to line up for this first initial jump. 4 quick draws off the floor, gets a good jug with his left, and a big pounce now. The first tense moment of the competition. Oh, he ends up being a nice float for Meiichi.
Yeah, made that look pretty easy.
Yeah, he almost just rolled it. 1-2.
He's one of the taller climbers as well. Be interesting to see how Sasha gets on with that move.
Really good steady start here. This is into the next jump section then. 2 good edges on the volume. Route set has made quite a few adjustments to this route before the competition started based on the qualifying and semi-final results. Does get the jump, nice little Superman one-hander lander into the purple there. Meiichi's making really good progress here, but I think the route really kind of gets started now. Sometimes with these dynamic moves we see, obviously generally a dynamic move has to be to quite a large hold, especially a low risk jump like that in a lead final. Obviously does mean that you get a pretty good rest, so imagine we'll see Meiichi, depending on how pumped he's feeling after the initial section, just taking a bit of a rest here.
Did look like he climbed the beginning very well, so I doubt he's too pumped. And he heads off pretty fast.
Transitioning out of the 40-degree section on the white into the pink, sort of big volume angle change. Just struggling with the clip, fumbling it a little bit. That's going to hurt him a little bit on the left arm. So the sequence becomes much harder. Meiichi's absolutely flying here. Currently up into hold number 27 of 40. Next hold, that little screw-on block jib on that blue volume is hold 28. Meiichi's looking really solid here, starting to shake off a little bit of pump though. I think Route Set is going to be looking on slightly nervously here with the first climber out, making really good progress.
I reckon so.
Really good close-up of another resting position here, but really awkward mantle to get out of it. Meichi just floating at the moment.
Well, here we go. And once again makes the press look pretty easy.
Everyone's watching quite nervously here as Meichi Narisaki, first climber of 8, pushes into the top section here already. Is already on hold, 34, 35. Next one is 36 of 40. Can we see an early top here from Meichi Narisaki? His first ever senior lead World Cup final. Meichi Narisaki is absolutely in cruise control here at the moment. One more shoulder move up on the right and a bit of a jump to finish. The crowd goes wild for him. Meichi Narisaki lines up the finish hold and drops it. Big moment here. Meichi Narisaki will take an applause because that was an awesome first climb. What is going to happen here, Will? First climber out, falls off the finishing hold. Is he on fire today, or is the route going to be topped multiple times?
It is hard to say. Watching that, you have to think that it's going to get a few tops. It is always hard to know, though. He did climb very well, very efficiently, precise. So I guess we wait and see. But you noticed at the top as well, when he went for the last hold, his right hand he tried to flick down to the volume, and it's actually like a 1-2 double, which the route set put in as the finishing move, just to be a bit more cruel to the climbers.
This is that last move. Here we go. Watch the right hand just flips down. That's exactly what the route set has intended, and a really low percentage finish move. Crazy scenes here already at the start of the men's competition. Meichi Narisaki, first climber out, will get a score of 39 plus probably for that, out of a potential 40. He's going to move into the huge throne. You can just see it on the left of your screen there.
They don't cheap out in chairs in Switzerland.
Gold-plated chair, whether it's spray paint or actual gold, who knows? We'll see. I think it might get stolen if it's actual gold at the end of the competition. Yeah. A few route setters will have that away to pay for their next climbing trip. Next climber out then, Alexander Magus. Pretty obvious from the crowd's response that he's going to know what he's got to do here. Pretty much a top or nothing to win this competition. Well, I'm just searching around the crowd actually to see if I can see the route sets. There's 3 of them sitting off to our right hand side. 2 of them got heads in their hands at the moment, not looking too impressed. Well, we won't read too much into that at the moment because we've got some very, very impressive climbers to climb in front of us, and no matter what happens, we can certainly enjoy their moves. Let's see Alexander Magus on this move. Oh, ends up almost doing a one-armer on the right-hand side. It was just a little rollout rather than a 1-2 jump.
Yeah, a very Magus style. Try and slow the dyno down.
I was just saying in the semi-final that Magus really doesn't like the heel hooks, tries to opt for a toe hook wherever possible, and you can see he's actually manufacturing a pretty good double toe hook rest there. Having a good rest early on in the route. He's probably quite aware that there's a good rest coming up as well. Smoothly through that next section from one rest potentially into another with this jump now.
Here we go.
Hits it with ease. It's a good looking move, that's for sure. And here cameras firing off all around the arena as each climber jumps for that with the mountains in the background.
That is one of the good benefits of having the comps outdoors. It's always a good view for the photos.
A few front cover magazine shots on each dyno attempt. I'm sure that's why the route sets put them in there.
Yeah.
Alexander Magus rests there with 3 Lead World Cup podiums already under his belt, and that win in Briançon last year. Can he get close to Meichi Narisaki's attempt at the final hold? Looking pretty fresh so far, it has to be said.
Opting not use a heel hook for that move.
Yeah, heel hook down and right. Now he flips it around. Potentially used a little bit of power through that section. He looks like he's fighting a little bit here, Magus.
Definitely. I think these slopers are bad though. I feel like if he gets past them, he'll be back on.
He's obviously comfortable enough just to have a little look around the corner to see if there's any better spot of that hold. Interestingly, he's gone up with the left hand. We saw Maichi Narisaki go up with the right hand. It is potentially good enough to get a little piano match on. He does. And locks down the right hand. He's looking quite comfortable on that edge. Going for the full leg bar. Getting fully on board. Getting on board is one thing, getting off again is something else though.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't mess him up.
Looks like he's going to mount up. Interesting method. It looks like he's aiming to go up with his left hand, where we saw Maichi pressing down with the feet outright to go up with his right hand. Magus has got fully on board now. Looks like he's going to try and get the no hands. Putting on a show here, Alex Magus. 2 minutes 18 seconds remaining.
Absolutely brilliant that. Hopefully he can get out of it.
Yeah, just look at that next hold. It's a sort of really bad side pull just above his next quick draw. Getting out of this position is going to be pretty brutal here for Magus.
I'd be interested to know if that's how he read it from the ground.
I think he's the kind of guy, if he's going to get a no-hander, he's going to take it.
Yeah. Does love the style points.
Here we go then, Alex Magus looks like he's trying to get out of this position. Which method will he choose up high? That's what he needs, but he's got to find a way of getting the weight off of that big volcano hold and start loading the arms.
Whoa.
See massive press, double tricep press there. You can see it going through his left arm. Magus has climbed himself into a bit of trouble here. Looks like he's trying to reverse it now. He's had a huge rest, pretty much. He would have thought got 100% of his energy back. Now he's got to press it up, but he's just pressing off the left foot, mantling up, trying to get that with his left hand. We saw Maichi get it with his right. Magus is heading straight into the middle of the walls, potentially skipping a couple of holds, skips the left hand. Just over a minute left, and Alexander Magus to get a top here. He's still looking quite fresh.
Onto the crimps, and he just looks at home, doesn't he?
Still got plenty of time here. Looks like he's going to try and use that. That's the hold Maichi tried to flick for at the last hold to try and hold the compression, but Alexander Magus has the penultimate hold in his hand now. Looks like a big move. He looks like he's going to try something slightly different. Drops down the right hand, goes statically to the finish hold. We have a top here already in Villars. Alexander Magus gets it done with a huge crowd response. Standing applause for Alexander Magus. He went into the most bizarre rest at 2/3 of the height, got fully on board, fully rested, managed to get out of it and pushes for a top. We've had one climber fall off the last hold. Alexander Magus statically to the finish. Route setters have got a problem on their hands potentially here, but that was an awesome performance from Alexander Magus.
Yeah, that was definitely a style climb as always. Yeah, I think now we get nervous for the route setters, definitely. Very, very happy looking Alex as well.
Alexander Magus, let's take another look. This was the kind of Superman jump at the bottom of two pretty good crimps. Big one-hander lander, just controls the backswing with a little palm down on the wall. So, competition will continue. It's going to be Yufei Pan out next. I'll be very surprised, but I'm happy to eat my own words if we see many tops here out of the remaining 6 climbers. But I think we could see 1 or 2.
Definitely, with the field and the names that are coming out, you could bet on them topping. By the looks of
if
it.
you're a betting man, you'd be
betting
putting
man.
euro down right now.
Yeah, and all those climbing betting websites, right?
Luckily, we're not there.
Yeah.
Yufei Pan then will be up next. 19 years old, has podium before, 3rd in Xiamen in 2017. But as we said earlier, really good all-rounder, has made semi-finals in the bouldering this year as well.
Yeah, he's another climber, say, that's been absolutely on fire this year, like Sasha. He's really smashed out at every comp.
What I'm finding really fascinating about this process, Will, is that we've observed the route and we're like, yeah, that's obviously a very hard route. It's not like the climbers are breezing up a 7A plus or something. Like, this is high up in the 8s, most likely, and these climbers are just cruising.
Yeah. I mean, it's really impressive. So far, the two climbers we watched have read it very well and just executed each move, and they're at a high enough level that if you do every move correctly and don't waste energy, then you're going to be on sighting 8B plus 8C. So, very hard job for the route setters.
Just a quick nod across to Alexander Magus, who's sitting in the winner's throne. Goes back to count back, obviously, if there's a tie in the finals. To count back to semi-finals. Do you believe that was a clean result in the semis?
I believe so, which means it would just be count back. If there are any ties, that then will get split on time. So the quickest climber to the top in the final would win.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to see those scenes. There was a tie between Dom and Skofic and Sascha Layman and Yuki Harder, looking at the results from the semi-finals then. So Dom and Sasha and Yuki, if they all top the route, that's a very big if, will be split on time.
Although now I think about it, it does then go back to qualification after semis, before time. So I don't think any of them are tied in qualification.
Just keep going back and back, look at the different potential outcomes here. Let's focus on Yuki right now though.
That was the heel hook I mentioned to you
sorry.
earlier.
Yeah, this is interesting, potential rest position here. Other climbers have favoured having the feet down low. Looks like Yufei Pan has gone for this really high, slightly awkward looking heel hook.
Didn't rest for too long, setting off again.
This is potentially the hardest sequence on the route, so I think if we're going to lose any climbers, it will be through this section of terrible sloping volume. You see that blue volume there, it's so bad. Manages to get through it off a nice little right heel hook though. Good flexibility to flick the left heel up as well. Climbers seemingly finding rests all over this route actually, which is potentially why we're seeing close to a couple of tops already, only top from Alexander Magus at the moment, but it's quite rare on a lead World Cup route, qualifiers through semi-finals and finals, that you get multiple rests like this.
Definitely, but I guess that's one of the problems with using the bigger new fiberglass PU holds is if they're setting it in the sun, they'll feel horrendous and there'll be no way you can shake out, and now that conditions are actually really quite nice, the hold could just be that much better than they expected. Now it'll be interesting to see what beta he uses. Looks like he's going for Michi's beta.
Yeah, no boarding the struggle bus like Alexander Magus. Yufei Pan is going straight up off the palm. You can see how hard that move is. Up into the shoulder. Squeezes the left foot off with no cut loose. Oh, the nice knee press just to get the momentum up to that round. Yufei Pan also looking really good on the top of this wall.
Now I say we get really worried. Looks like he's absolutely cruising as well.
Yeah, nice in cuts there, just taking a moment to shock and shake. See, having to dig in a little bit, slight grimace in the face, but it could be about this last move, this competition. Slight wobble on the right hand side of the body there, the knee just dips, but this is it for Yufei Pan. Goes for the finish hold, goes statically. Oh, a third method. Hits it with the left hand, stabs the left foot out, doesn't need the undercut. Yufei Pan finds the top on the route, matches Alexander Magus, and will go ahead of Alexander Magus, takes the winner's throne. Great performance nonetheless from Yufei Pan. I think he actually had to try pretty hard there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could see how much effort he put into the boulder season by that last move, opting to go for, instead of trying to do anything static, but going the full all points off dyno and then hit the foot as well.
Let's have another look at this section with the swing across with the feet to the volcano. And Will, the way he did the final move, actually,
yeah, it's really impressive.
That's the third method we've seen at the end there, so there's all sorts of options. Chinese team obviously very, very happy with that. I mean, you can't do any better than finding a top on the final route.
And I mean, what also is quite an interesting note is, you know, you're at the top of the wall, so you're high, but you're quite far above that last quick draw, and it's just the complete all-out commitment for that. It's always cool to see.
Yeah, it's one of those moments that recreational climbers would probably dare not even have an attempt at. But
I mean, even in training, it'd be hard to say, you know, yeah, I'll go for that, because if you fall off, you could hurt yourself pretty bad, I guess.
Yeah, we saw that the fall from Meiji Narasaki was pretty bad.
Yeah, he did smash us back into the wall. I don't think too hard, but...
Next climber out then, Kokoro Fuji. Lead finals back in Kran 2018, but historically very, very good on the boulders. I think this route could definitely suit him.
I mean, I believe so, judging by the amount of rest, I don't think it's too pumpy. So
yeah, it doesn't seem to be like an all-out resistance climb at all. We're not really seeing the climbers' elbows going up at all, like they're getting super, super pumped in the forearms. We did actually see this in a similar sort of fashion. Chamonix 2017 with multiple tops on the final route.
Was that the comp when Marcello won?
Yeah, Marcello Bombardi took the gold there. I think that went back to Countback as well.
Yeah.
Might have even gone back to time. It's too far back to remember that exact
I think it was
details.
time, yeah, it went Countback and then time.
That route actually had a jump in it as well. It had just a very similar looking jump, one-hander jump in the middle of the wall. Climbers took the opportunity to take a huge rest on it, and then there was another rest higher up on the head wall, quite similar to this route here in many ways. I'm sure that's pure luck rather than any form of planning.
I'm just trying to remember it. I believe that was also the finals that Yuval Schemmler made.
Yes. Yeah, Yuval was here again this week, but no semi-finals for him. One thing that is actually quite important going into this competition, that this is the first Lead World Cup of the season. It's so hard for the route setters to gauge the level. I had head route setter Adam Pustelnik in earlier, and he was really nervous. To be fair, he was just really struggling with the nerves, just to know where to make the adjustments, what tweaks to make, and it's so difficult.
It is a horrendously hard job, I think. I mean, because you want someone to get to the top. That's where the excitement comes. You want people big exciting moves, but I mean, you don't want everyone to get to the top. You don't want everyone to fall at the start. I think it is really hard.
Good view there of Kokoro, just using that rest opportunity, slows it down. Chalk bag stays on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the semi-finals from Jan Gambret earlier on. Chalk bag fell off on the bottom of the route. I wonder if she'll be investing in a new strap. Or better knot tying skills, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. This year is so interesting with the Olympics, seeing all the boulders come across to the lead and lead climbers trying the boulder. As I was saying, Sascha Layman doing incredibly well, Yufei Pa, and then boulders like Kokoro and I mean, a lot of them that have come across and absolutely smashing as well. It's really cool to see.
Talking of who did what, just the way that he skipped the right hand use of the black hold there is so comfortable on this fiberglass section. Looks like he's going to, he almost dabs past that other undercut on the right hand side. So Magus using that quite heavily. Kokoro's in cruise control once again here.
Yep, looked particularly casual on that move out. What is his beta going to be? Looks like he's gone for a rest at the moment, I assume.
Kokoro goes into that press move then. Seems to be pretty comfortable here. It was very comfortable for Meichi as well.
Yeah, he's looking pretty chilled. I reckon this will be another top.
Stretching out the fingers a little bit there on the left hand just to try and get rid of a bit of forearm pump. So obviously having to work a bit here. Kuro.
Well, you can see how small the holds actually are on that close-up, but they are incredibly strong climbers, and I guess on this angle they can just shake out and rest in them.
Yeah, look at this. You rarely see this at the top of a lead final, just the ability to shake hands, left hand, right hand, just shaking it off, getting some chalk.
Checking the time.
Plenty of time. It's not a route that's going to endanger being timed out, I don't think, really. This is it then. Kokoro Fuji's going for the finish hold. Tries to go statically. Had a quick look left and right there for Kokoro. He won't be winning this competition. You can just see there, Will, just as he went, a slight hesitation just as he went for the finish jog.
Yeah, it looked like he went to go for it and then was like, oh, maybe I could static it, and then, oh well, I guess we'll see it.
Let's have another look. Just went really slowly. We've seen 3 methods there so far. He actually tried a 4th method potentially, which was just to go purely static. Saw Magus with the little right hand undercut flip move, and then Yufei Pan
really
with the jump.
I wonder if that was how it was set, was to hit the volume and do the flip like Magus did, or to do it the dynamic way.
Just having a quick look to our side because the judge was just pointing out a potential technical incident on the wall there. We will try and find out what that was. You can see it there. Yufei Pan currently sits at the top over Alexander Magus. Based on the count back to the semi-final round, it's Kokoro and Meichi from Team Japan, both on 39 plus. No word yet from what happened there. There you can see it, the winners thrown alongside the pub sofa.
Yeah, yeah, the sofa really doesn't look great in comparison, does it?
Maybe that's the idea.
Yeah.
You want to be on the throne. You don't want to be on the sofa. You want to be on the throne.
I mean, yeah, of course.
For more than one reason. Really interesting lead final here so far. 2 tops already tonight.
And 2 last moves.
You can see Domin just prepping backstage. Really seems to be in the moment.
He's not got his chalk bag on. Oh.
Hope he's not learned from Yanyo how to tie knots in your chalk bag. Have a quick team talk backstage.
Team talk.
We have 4 climbers still to come: Yuki Hada, Sascha Layman, Doman Skofic and Tomoa Narasaki. Interestingly, Doman, Sasha and Yuki all tied in the semi-final as well. So if we were to come down to a situation where those 3 were potential podium places, it would come down to time between those 2. It wouldn't go back. Podium positions don't go back to count back to the qualifiers. Just to clarify that, it will be down to time between those 3 as they tied it in the semi-final, if it did come down to that. But Yufei Pan is the man at the moment, sitting in the throne, still seemingly shaking off a bit of pump in the right arm. The officials are just making some moves around us at the moment. We will try and get that information for you. As you can see, the next climber, Yuki Hada, is ready to go. He's just being held behind the wall at the moment. Well, this is probably the worst case scenario for someone like Yuki. You're ready to go. You've heard the crowd, you've heard the psych from the previous climber, you know it's your turn next, and you're there, you've got your shoes on, you're chalked up, you're ready to go, and you've just been told to wait.
Yeah, it is frustrating, because obviously you have a routine, you know, like, right, I'll do this before I go, like, this many minutes, and you're ready, and you get psyched, and then you're like having to wait, and you're like, oh, am I getting cold? And then the nerves can get you as well.
I think it's almost like another one of those things that you have to deal with as a competition climber. It's just, and I guess experience is the main thing to help you deal with that. Just doing competitions time and time and time again. It's the same in the bouldering. It's such a numbers game in terms of competing in competitions.
Yeah,
you've just got to keep going at the events. Technical incident doesn't seem to be resolved at the moment, but it obviously won't be affecting the result in terms of who the winner is, because Yuki Hara is out and is ready to compete on this final line. Just takes his moment to remember the route. Will, also you should know this. How much time do you have before you pull back on?
40 seconds. Now, that could be wrong. It could be 45. I think it used to be, but I think it's 40. Basically enough time to quickly go over it and then get ready.
Do you feel like there's a disadvantage to coming out later on in the finals because it's been longer since you observed the route? It's longer, you have to remember the line?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know if it plays too much of a factor. I think the fact that you come out and the crowd will never be as loud until you get up to the high point or you're close to it. Through the start, it's usually will get a bit quieter later on because people they can do this bit, and that I think can be a bit of a disadvantage, but I don't think it's too bad. At least with 8 climbers, conditions on the holds won't get any worse really.
Yuki Hara then, different technique through this lower section, ends up matching the ball on the right hand side, didn't go for the 1-2 float that we've seen, right hand to the blue, left hand down, ends up being so strong on the volume that he can just wrestle away on that one. Goes straight into the jib that's screwed onto that big hold down on left as well.
Something interesting I was looking at earlier as well, Yuki is one of the 2 climbers in the top 20 of this comp that aren't doing the combined, which shows you just how much of a impact the Olympics and combined format has had, and how all the majority of the top people are involved with it.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. You certainly wouldn't have said that 2 seasons ago.
No.
Good angle here for Yuki Hara. Let's have a look at this big Superman jump, the one-hander lander in the purple jug. Kokoro Fuji's score still showing as 39 plus, currently sitting in 3rd position. So whatever the discussion was, doesn't seem to have made an impact. That's the jump, nice land. Pretty comfortable for all the athletes really. Do you like to see that sort of move in the finals, Will?
I mean, it is a nice move for the crowd, definitely. Oh!
Just as we're talking about how nice the move was before, a complete random slip from Yuki Hara.
Yeah, I think that was his foot that went.
Well, hopefully we'll see that again, but completely out of the blue, and that's the brutal thing about lead climbing competitions. You get one go, any slip, you're out of there, there's no second guesses. This is the jump. He fell off just a couple of moves after this, after he got that next clip. Hopefully we can watch it through. This is where he went. Let's have a closer look.
And went to clip it, I think.
He was clipping low.
And left foot just
yeah, I think that hold actually has a good bit of texture in the middle with 2 tiny bits of jewel texture, one at the top and one at the bottom. I think his left foot might have been, it was on a side pull already, but I think it might be on the jewel texture element of the slide on the side pull rather than the textured bit in the middle.
Either that or it's almost an undercut, to be honest. It's very side pulley, so it could have just slid down.
And I think sometimes when the climbers, they just relax a touch just to get the quick draw, and you almost lose a bit of tension because you're just focusing on the draw.
Yeah, it's something that you don't think about that much, but it can really mess you up, definitely.
Tiniest relaxation of any form of concentration, and you can be out there just like that. Sasha Layman, 3rd from last out there, in the Swiss local hero. The MC's,
you can hear the crowd there.
Yeah, MC's working hard to get the crowd going here. There you want to see a top here from Sasha. In many ways, the pressure is mounted significantly here because we've already seen 2 tops. It must be an incredible situation to come out in front of this crowd in your home country to know I've got to top the route.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a bit nervous for him. He, not like obviously in the semis, he absolutely smashed it, and he is an incredible climber. But he has messed up quite a few jumps in finals and stuff before. So hopefully hopefully keeps it together and smashes it out here.
Yeah, seemingly what we were led to believe and what we read from the ground potentially is that a jump at the bottom is not really a jump anymore, and a jump around half height to the big stack of volumes is pretty steady.
Yeah, and as long as he keeps his head and gets through those, I reckon he'll top it as well. In warm-up for qualifiers, he was doing a circuit that was, by the looks of it, way harder than the qualifying routes.
Just cruising around like an 8C, 9A circuit.
That's probably 9A. Came off, I was like, was that necessary? I mean,
here we go, the first sort of dynamic move. Gets it done in a very dynamic style. Is obviously not suffering from the nerves too much. If that jump was anything to go by, full of confidence with the 1-2 down on the left hand. So much support here from Sasha. You see he does look a bit tense on the wall all of a sudden.
He is, I think, the shortest climber in the final, and you can see he was really struggling to keep his feet, so I think he had to go for the jump.
Must be so difficult when on these routes all you want to do is climb in a smooth, relaxed fashion, and the MCs and the crowd are chanting your name to a really sort of quite a constant rhythm. It must be hard just to ignore everything and just focus on the moves ahead of you.
Definitely.
Does line up the jump, great angle, nicely done with the palm down to stop the swing. We saw that earlier as well, and goes for that high heel hook method that Will was talking about earlier to get a good rest. Hopefully he can just take a moment, take a breath.
Tongue out to the crowd, that's what we like. Right, it'd be good to see a top now.
I think Sasha's going to have to work really hard to get a top here as well. Yuki Hado, this is where we lost him. The same, almost same, identical clipping position, but off a different foot. Sasha off the right foot there, where Yuki was on the left. This is where the route gets a lot more powerful though. Just stalling a little bit there, Sasha. You can see the huge amount of chalk build up on that hole there. He's just sliding a little bit on the right hand. Sasha Lehmann's in real fight mode all of a sudden here. Big punch up left needed now to this side pull. Does do it nicely seemingly though off the heel. It looked like he was in a bit of trouble, but as soon as he dropped that heel in, just relaxed a little bit. Takes a breath.
Oh, dynamic beta through there.
See, he's actually fighting a little bit here. Floats through to this next volcano volume though, putting on a good show here for his local fans, Sasha Layman.
Go on, Sasha.
Sasha Layman then through that mantle, and the crowd go wild because they know once you get through that you're in for a really good chance for a top here. Pushing into the top section now, hold 34 and 35 of 40. We know how it goes, we've seen two tops already. Can Sasha Layman work his way to the top of the leaderboard? Just looks down to check the time. He's got loads of time. Surely he's got something left in the tank as well. Sasha Layman just shaking out the crimps. Taking a moment, dialing it down. 2 minutes to go for Sasha, and just 2 moves ahead of him. Pushes up to the shoulder move, breathing hard. What method is he going to use?
He's using the volume, he's come down. This should be a top now.
Goes for the Magus method. Sasha Layman does not disappoint the crowd and finds a top and goes into a provisional lead. Big scenes here in Villars once again. Look at that celebration. He did not let them down.
What a start to the lead season for Sasha, coming out of your home crowd event and topping the final route.
Crowd absolutely buzzing for Sasha. Everybody on their feet. Local MCs putting on a show here for Sasha, stopping him in the middle of the wall, giving him the round of applause. It's actually around 1 minute 44 that Sasha had left on the route. Quick bit of maths, minus that off 6 gives us his time on the wall. Sasha Layman is tied with Domen and Yuki. Yuki doesn't matter anymore because he's fallen off low on the route. So if Domen finds the top, it could go down to time between those two for a podium position. But it's certainly not over then because Tomoe Narasaki still has to come out.
He has at least guaranteed himself a podium spot.
Yeah, with 2 climbers left. That's why he's giving it the big beans here, the local MC, Christopher. He's getting the throne ready for him as we look back at what was a really perfect climb in the end from Sascha Layman. He did really well to deal with the pressure. And what a moment at the top. Superb scenes. Not really the story we were looking for here tonight, but nonetheless the atmosphere is electric here.
Do you think he'll get to keep the chair?
Well, he probably lives the closest, so it'd be easy for him to get it in the back of the car. He's not going to get that in his flight case to go home, that's for sure. Domen Skofic then tied with Sasha in the semi-final round. So if he finds a top as well, it will come down to time between the two of them. We will keep a close eye on the clock. Unfortunately, this is not what we want to see really in the lead finals, things coming down to time. It has happened time and time again, unfortunately. Routes tend to be not hard enough. We saw it quite a few times in the women's last year. Doesn't happen that often in the men's. Like we said, did happen in Chamonix just a couple of years ago as well. But who would want to be a route setter right now? Just the hardest job in the world. They've put on a great show, to be fair, but the climbers are seemingly cruising this final route.
Yeah, well, as I say, the qualifiers were absolutely amazing. Semi-finals were exciting as well. I think put on a fairly good show for everyone, and it is hard to get all 4 routes for each category, each gender right. Well, Domen will have heard Sasha topping behind the wall, so he'll know that time will be a factor, and he'll know he'll have to actually climb quick.
Yeah, you would have to be deaf to not hear that crowd.
So I wonder how much that affects his style.
I think Domen's been in similar positions before in many ways. He deals with the pressure quite well. I think he's so good at dialing in his focus on the actual climbing itself. To see if he can find his rhythm. First Lead World Cup of the season, didn't really do any of the bouldering this year, so he's got plenty of time to get his fitness together for this competition. But it does seem like fitness is not really the biggest factor here at the moment. It's just about getting through a couple of dynamic moves and just keeping it together on the last move. So one factor that Domen will probably be aware of is time as well. He knows that he's tied with Sasha in the semi-final, so I think Domen may not use or milk some of these rests too much. Will he just cruise straight through this section, or will he push through? Traditionally, as we saw in the semi-finals, Domen will take a long rest if he can.
Yeah.
What tactics does he use? Does it look like he's pushing through?
Yeah, interestingly, he rested on the crimps before the jug, and then didn't rest on the jug.
Maybe he felt like the jump move might have been a bit harder than it actually ended up being. Domen into the head wall then, into those slopey undercuts. In absolute cruise control at the moment. Opts to go up with the left hand. We've seen both methods used. Looks like Domen should have no issues matching that really. Yufei Pan matched it.
Domen loves that sort of stuff. Time is going to be close.
Yeah, he's a little bit behind potentially here. Sasha, we believe around 1 minute 44. That's an unofficial time. Just keeping a track of it ourselves here in the commentary booth. But Domen was up in the top section with 2 minutes to go, roughly. Clock's a bit jumpy as well. It makes it extra exciting.
I remember one of the most interesting comps I've seen with time was the World Cup 2 years ago at Raffle. And in the female final, Janja was resting on the volume, one move before first place, and she looked down at the clock, which had 7 seconds left, and continued to chalk up. And the whole crowd is so nervous. She only just got it in the last second, I think.
This is nice from Domen. He's obviously not too phased about time, but concentrating on a top. Unfortunately, maybe he does or maybe he doesn't know that a top won't be enough. It has to be a quick one here. Obviously the competition won't be decided here because Tomoe Narasaki is still to come as well.
Yeah, I believe that Domen has run out of time now to top it and beat Sasha, so...
I think the best thing for us to do, Will, is not to concentrate on the time at the moment, just concentrate on the competition. We're getting slightly conflicting information coming in from IFSC officials at the moment as to what goes on with the back time. It's slightly disappointing to see that we are actually in this situation. But Domen is putting on an incredible performance.
What will he go for? Doesn't seem to be using the undercut. Oh, he went for the full out dyno.
It's nice from Domen, just suggesting that he couldn't quite find the in-cut of the top of the hold. Sasha Layman remains at the top at the moment.
Sasha's now guaranteed second, and that means Yufei Pan is on the podium as well.
Yeah, with just Tomoe still to come. Let's have another look at. Nice look from underneath with Domen. So, Will, like I said, I don't want to go into this too much because there's slightly different conflicting information coming around, which is a bit frustrating, but Graham Alderson, IFSC technical delegate, has just told us that they can be split from qualifiers and the podiums won't be decided based on time. This is a slightly disappointing situation that we're here with multiple tops in the final, let's be honest.
Definitely.
But let's focus on the final climber out in the men's competition. Tomoe Narasaki absolutely blasted the bouldering season of 2019, won the overall title. Can he finish off here with a win? It would be quite extraordinary to go through the bouldering season with so many great results and then come out in the final and first lead competition of the season and win that as well. This route could definitely suit Tomoe as well.
Be one hell of a statement, yeah. And interestingly, Adam Ondra, who was second in the boulder season, is skipping this comp because he's had a wrist injury, which I believe I'm correct in saying is the first injury he's ever had.
Not bad.
That stopped him climbing, yeah. Which I think is more impressive in itself, to be honest. He should be back with us though in Chamonix.
So final climber out here in the final in Villars, the first League World Cup of the season. It's Tomoe Narasaki. We've only used a minute to get up to this halfway mark on the route.
I was going to say he is absolutely flying. He knows time is going to be an issue.
Well, Tomoe doesn't have to worry about the time because he doesn't have the count back to the semi-finals because he clearly won the semi-final round.
Okay, then he's just decided to run up the route anyway.
He's just using Tomoa style, hanging by one arm, just flying as he always does.
Oh, and he did the jump match as well. Brilliant.
Just whilst Tomoa's having a quick rest, Kokoro Fuji did actually have a technical incident in the end. He ended up scoring 8, so I think it was just by going what I saw, a foot touched a bolt hanger, potentially lower down on the wall. That is unconfirmed. We've not been told that by a technical zealot, just by what I saw from our commentary position. But he has been demoted, currently sits in last position in 7th.
It's always a shame when you come down and get told that. It's always unintentional. It's very rare that you would intentionally stand on a ball. Tomoa still absolutely flying. 2 minutes to this point on the route.
3 tops already on the final route. 2 people fallen off the last move.
You can see one of the Slovenian coaches in the background.
Tomoa Narasaki's really just got to get through cleanly. Make sure he doesn't make any big mistakes. A slip is possible with Tomoa's style.
Just no messing around, is there?
No messing around, reading the sequence perfectly, and manages to chalk up through this press move. Tomoa Narasaki, if he can finish this off, will be on course for his first ever lead World Cup win. Proving that it is possible to be very, very good in lead and boulder at the same time.
And speed. He is not far off making the, a speed final.
Tomoa's just got to find his sequence here now. He's got to not rush it at the very top of the wall. Oh, and he does! He slips.
Left foot just slipped away.
Cannot believe it.
Heartbreaking.
I think he might have had his foot on the road, we're going to see, but it hands the win to the local legend. Sasha Layman takes it. The crowd are on their feet. There was no countback situations in the end. It comes down to Sasha Layman claims it. Who would have thought that came out of absolutely nowhere? Tomoa Narasaki, what have you done?
Oh, what a comp to win. Home event.
If you're going to win in a competition, there's going to be a big, big party in Villars tonight. Tomoa Narasaki's all smiles, gets a kick up the bum from his brother, just saying, what on earth did you do there? But there he is, the winner of the men's lead competition. Sasha Layman takes it. It's going to be really big emotional scenes here in the end. Hopefully we'll be able to have another look at what happened there to Tomoa. It just seems so steady. Let's have another look then. This is the jump lower down. At this point in the route he was absolutely cruising. Hopefully we'll be able to see what happened when he fell off. This is it. Just swapped feet.
Oh, he does stand on the rope.
Just left foot touches the rope. He seemed to have quite a bit of weight still on his left foot, but I think what a reaction. That was really basically tight. Everybody in the arena that made that face. And there we have it. It does conclude the men's competition. Sasha Layman takes it. Yufei Pan, very, very well deserved second place. Alexander Magus takes third. 3 climbers. The podium was all tops.
Not an ideal situation in any case, but what a way to win for Sasha.
Yeah, in the women's competition in the semi-finals, if you got through this jump, you got to the place in the finals. In the final, if you topped the route, you got on the podium. It's not ideal, but it's an interesting storyline in itself.
And I guess it's competition, it happens, and as an athlete you have to kind of deal with that. So,
well, one thing people have to understand at home is route setting is they're not robots, they are humans doing a job based purely on how they feel on the wall.
Yeah.
It's brutal. I mean, who would ever want to be a professional route setter at this level in the game? Tip of the hat, they've had a good run up until now, the route setters, and they've still got the women's final still to come. But there you can see it. Kokoro Fuji did get a technical incident. He ends up in 8th position with a score of 8. 4 Japanese in a row. Yuki Hada, Tomoa Narasaki, who surely should have taken the win at the last climber out. Meiichi Narasaki 39 plus falling off the last move. So did Domen Skoffic. That tie got sorted out along with Alexander Magus, Yufei Pan, and Sascha Layman takes the win. Top the route to win.
Definitely not a podium I would have predicted at the beginning of the weekend, but absolutely amazing.
Yeah, good scenes. I almost feel that being here and soaking up the crowd atmosphere is a little bit different to you guys watching at home, because it's so loud and the Swiss crowd are so happy. But let's take a moment now to hear from the guy who won. Let's hear from Sascha Layman.
Sasha, what a thrilling final. How are you feeling tonight? How does it feel to win at home for the first time?
It's just a crazy feeling. I mean, winning in winning in front of the home crowd here, it's just crazy. First World Cup victory, I can't believe it. Just amazing.
Did you feel nervous at all during the climb, or did you feel like you were encouraged enough from the crowd?
I was quite calm during my climb. I was just happy to be in finals, to climb here, and crowd went wild while climbing, and so it was just great.
During the semifinals, did you feel like the pressure rising, or were you really pumped to be in this competition?
Semifinal was harder. I expected to make a good performance in semifinals. I didn't really know how strong I am at the moment, but then it just felt great, and being in the finals in the evening, just crazy, how I said.
Is it a dream come true?
Yeah, of course, winning a competition in front of the home crowd, of course it's a dream coming true.
Well, this is great, and congratulations on your win tonight. What are your next big projects?
Yeah, of course, the next 2 World Cups with Chamonix, Briançon, and then the World Champs in Tokyo. That's the big goal, of course.
Anything bigger other than World Cups and World Championships?
A big goal of the year is qualification for Olympic Games, of course, for everyone this year, and let's see what happens.
Thank you very much, Sasha. Well done again. Congratulations. Enjoy tonight.
Not a happier man in the arena than Sascha Layman takes his first World Cup win.
I mean, saying that the cheer his coach gave out in the crowd was something else as well. Came running over.
Oh, it's great. It's really good seeing. Well, we're going to end your hard work for the evening there. You're going to be substituted by Austrian climbing legend Hannah Schubert. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you on the wall next time in Chamonix.
Yeah, me too. No, thanks for having me though. Always good fun. I'll leave you to it then.
Women's final list presentation does get underway. No pause in the action here as the women's competition will be shortly underway. They will go through the presentation and observation. Julia Chanaudy then, first climber to be announced to the crowd. She scored a 30 plus in the qualifiers to get through. She's 23-year-old, 13 finals to her name already. And she actually made a 4th in the Boulder World Cups of 2019 in Munich as well. 2 Slovenians out next. Lučka Račević, 18 years old, both Slovenians actually, and Mia, 18 years old. Lučka, first ever senior lead finals. She has made Boulder finals before, but so good to see her in the senior lead competitions. And I'm delighted to say that we are joined by Austrian team member Hannah Schubert. Hannah, thanks so much for joining us.
No worries, I'm always glad to be here.
And as an expert in the field of the women's finalists, we're just talking about the presentation here, and we will shortly be going into a bit more detail as to who's doing what, but really, really fascinating to see so many young athletes in this finals. 3 15-year-olds.
Yeah, it's crazy. I already said before, Akia must feel like a bit old in that round of, we're surrounded by so many young girls, because like 3 girls, like only in the first year UFA and like the first year they can take part in the World Cup, but also Mia and Luchka and Janja, they're also all really young. So
yeah, I think
crazy.
Janja's the 3rd oldest in this field. It's crazy.
Must feel weird for her too.
There she is, there, Akia Noguchi, absolute legend in the game, 30 years old, double the age of 3 of the other athletes, but
So
certainly
crazy.
not half the talent, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Never won a senior lead World Cup though, Akio.
Really? Wow. I'm surprised to
The
hear
biggest,
that actually. Yeah.
biggest pile of medals you've ever seen in bouldering. Of course, she actually won 3 silvers and 5 bronzes, so she's been very, very close multiple times.
Yeah, she definitely wants to get that down at some point.
Ai Mori then, just 15 years old, next to her. Youth B World Champion from Innsbruck 2017. Ai was so impressive in the qualifiers and obviously the semi-finals. Chaeyoung Seo from Korea, also just 15 years old, her first ever IFSC senior event. Make finals in your first event, not bad.
Yeah, I have, I'm being honest, I haven't heard from her before this camp, but then a team member told me that she already did 9A last year.
Wow.
Like in America, she did 9A in the age of 14. So that's really impressive too.
It's becoming staggering, the level of the younger and younger climbers these days, and the just 15 years old making finals in front of such a big crowd. It's so impressive.
Yeah. It's also really impressive to see that not only really experienced athletes like make it to the final, like it doesn't matter, because I mean, of course experience is always helpful, but these young girls are just so strong that
Do you think
it seems they don't miss the experience so much.
It seemed to be like someone like Yulia Shanodi, Akia Noguchi, they really chime on that experience to make sure that they get into finals time and time again. But basically the other 15-year-old athletes' first IFSC senior competitions, they just seem to be so strong that the element of experience just doesn't even seem to be important anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like in some routes it's really helpful to have experience. I think it also depends on how hard the route is to read, maybe, and like how spontaneous you have to be in making decisions. But yeah, until now the young ones handled that really well.
I'm sure you were training really hard at 15 years old, but for a lot of people out there at just 15, to even imagine dealing with a situation like this at such a young age is so impressive. I would say, we were just chatting with Eddie Falk, the IFSC official photographer, earlier, that this is probably the youngest field in a lead final for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't remember watching a final with so many young ones.
Well, this is our first look as the 8 women are in their observational period. This is the first look at the women's line. Hannah, have you had an opportunity to look at the men's route? We'll talk about that in a minute and what happened a minute ago in the men's show. A lot of talking points there. But what's your first impressions of this women's line?
I think it looks really cool. A lot of big holds and volumes, and also there where you see now, like to this green 2 ones, looks like a bit of a dynamic, jumpy part. Yeah, it looks actually really cool, like with the blue and green holds, like just from the first impression, it looks like a cool line. I hope we don't see the same as in the man part, but I'm pretty sure that it's not going to see so many tops because the top looks really, really hard. As you can see now, there are not so many holds anymore. I think it's a lot about body position and pushing yourself to the right, and yeah.
Just as you can see in the center of the screen there, sort of a big open groove, got a press, really big press from the left to the right, and then a bit of a move. Don't want to give the game away too much too early. Just before the finish, there's an interesting little jump move or a roll over, sort of a bit more timing, a bit more coordination at the top of the route.
Yeah, I was really impressed by also the young girls in semis, because there were a lot of big moves, like really dynamic big moves. And like the Japanese girls, for example, they're pretty small, but they still handled it really well. So I was impressed by that. Seems like size, if you're really strong, size doesn't matter that much too.
Basically, there's no substitution for strength, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no excuses.
If in doubt, pull really hard. It would be wrong to say that these athletes don't have the full collection of sort of requirements to make a lead World Cup final. They've obviously got impeccable technique, route reading, the ability to remember a route as well
Yeah.
as strong arms, strong fingers, kind of the full package.
Yeah, also you can see that like in this combat also in the last few years, the lead routes got a lot more bouldery and less like just endurance based. And all these girls are also really strong in bouldering. Like multiple of them have made bouldering finals or even
Yeah,
podiums, like Akia and
just on his
Yanya.
screen
But
right
also
there.
Mia made a podium in Munich this year, and Luchka was in finals, and Julia as well.
Yeah.
Ayamori as well. So we have like a really strong also bouldering field here, and you can see in the routes that there are a lot more bouldering elements coming up. And
Yeah, we were talking actually in the men's competition with Will that the lines are becoming blurred between what is a route and what is a boulder, and what's a route climber and who's a boulder. Are they, someone like Tomoa?
can't tell anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Tomoa winning the semi-final round, coming out last in the men's competition after winning the overall in the men's bouldering. The lines are very, very blurred. The Olympics have had a lot to do with that, of course.
Definitely, yeah. And also, just the style changed in the last few years. Like when they cut down the 8 minutes climbing time to 6 minutes, that changed a lot. Then the walls get a bit like less high and smaller, and the World Cup in Imst is not taking part anymore.
That's right.
That changed a little bit too.
Yeah, the
And I think
massively
especially
long wall of Imst.
in the women's, it's a lot like more interesting to watch the rounds then, like semis and finals, because otherwise sometimes you really had to look at a women for like 8 minutes on the wall, and then she felt the last move or something, or everyone climbed for like almost 8 minutes, and then the final was just really long and maybe not so exciting to watch. But now with all the bouldering elements, it like gets like exciting to look at it from the start, which is nice.
Well, let's use this opportunity as the women's observation just winds down to talk about the men's final. And give me off the bat your opinion.
Well, it's hard to tell. Actually, like after the first climber, it's always hard to tell, because the first climber can either be like just really good and you didn't imagine him to be so good, and all the others will fall underneath him. But usually when the first climber comes so high already,
And so easily potentially, I
and
completely
you
agree when the
start
first
to
climber
doubt
comes
it,
out.
Maybe it might be a bit too easy. Maybe the route setter might get nervous now. And then after the first top, which was already really early by Alex Magus, you already start to be like, maybe they're going to be multiple tops. And actually, I think in the end, the route setters were a bit lucky that there weren't even more, because so many people fell at the last move, maybe with not doing it in the easiest way, like Alex and Sasha did it really in a really static way and really safe. And I think if the others that jumped to the top hole would have done the safe way, they probably would have topped it really easily.
I think the last move saved the route setters a little bit because we saw 3 different successful methods.
And also the foot slips of Tomoa and Harayuki. I mean, I think the route setters didn't rely on people making mistakes. I think they maybe just underestimated the climbers a little bit. I mean, let's be honest, it's not really easy to set World Cup routes nowadays.
That's an understatement, I would say.
Yeah. But I think this time the semi-final was harder than the final, which should not be this way around. But
Well, that is the women's lead final start list. Then they have just finished their observation, just gone backstage. First climber out will be Julia Shanodi, followed by Luchka Ratovec, Mia Krampel, Natsuki Tani, Akia Noguchi, Aimori. 3 Japanese coming in a row after 2 Slovenians. Then Cheiyun Seo, and finishing off, as we've said many, many times here on the IFSC live stream, Janja Garnbret will be out last. And we mentioned it before, we mentioned that we actually struggled to see a little bit from our commentary position during the semi-final, but Janja losing her chalk bag.
yeah, that was so impressive. Like, it took me so long to realize that she's not climbing with the chalk bag, and then it took us even more to realize that she really did not forget it, she lost it. It just fell off on the first quick draw, and then I saw it later, like the video from the live stream, that she looked down, actually thought, what should I do? And then, can't do anything about it, just climb.
Just keep on going.
And then she did it so, really, she climbed it flawless and just topped it so easily. And
I mean,
I'm pretty sure that I can't imagine who else could have done that.
Well, I think, it was almost a funny moment, but I think in weeks or months to come, I think people will be looking back on that and thinking, Janja's had an amazing bouldering season. You can't get better than sweeping the whole season. People were asking the questions about the lead season. Can she just dominate the lead as well? If she can climb the semi-final route, find the only top without any chalk that she was obviously pretty used to, it's a bit of a signal to the rest of the athletes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone who climbs a lot knows that chalk is really important, especially in a comp where so many people climb on the same holds, and also in the beginning the sun was in, so the holes got really hot and slippery. So yeah, I can't imagine anyone who can do what she can do. But if your shape is just so much better than anyone from the others, maybe that's the reason why she can do it without any helping ingredients like chalk.
In your opinion, how does she win them to go into the lead and have that level of fitness?
I was actually surprised that she competed in Vale 2, because a lot of people who wanted to do the whole lead season left out Vale to prepare properly. But I think she just wanted to have
she just likes to have fun by winning gold medals, I think.
Yeah, I guess she didn't want to miss that, the whole season. But I think, as we said, nowadays you don't need that full level of endurance to be really good in leads. I'm sure her endurance level used to be better the last 3 years, but she doesn't need that anymore, because you only need a specific level of endurance. I think, and I think really good climbers keep always a specific level of endurance, even though they just train bouldering, and they get it back really fast. If you have a specific level, you just need a few trainings and get it back.
Right, yeah.
I see that every year with Jakob and Jesse. No matter, also if they're in the middle of bouldering training, if they would go on a route, they would still be really good. And then they just need a couple of trainings a week to go back to a really good lead shape. And because there are so many bouldery style routes as well, I think she needs the bouldering shape even more than the endurance that she used to, that she needed the last few years.
The bouldering power is harder to get than the lead endurance, I think.
Yeah, and the endurance is easier to get back really quick, and also to keep it for longer. So yeah, I'm definitely sure she can build up on more endurance, but I don't think it's really necessary for her right now, as you can see.
Well, just very quickly before Julia Chenaldi comes out, just ask you about Jakob. Your brother obviously missed out on the finals tonight. That is a very rare occurrence.
Yeah.
Disappointment in the family?
Yeah, I haven't talked to my family at home yet. I mean, they also know that nobody's perfect and everyone can make mistakes at some point. Also,
especially
Jakob is
in lead
allowed
climbing.
to make mistakes at some point. I mean, it wasn't really a mistake. Yeah, it was a mistake he made, but it was just... the route was, I think, a lot of people got trouble with that route, not only him, a lot of really good climbers. And also it was, again, something that just was really bouldering and they didn't expect it. And then he did a mistake, and I think he will learn from it, and I think he just going to be back in Chamonix, hopefully not think about it too much.
He proved that he is human after all.
Yeah.
Women's competition gets underway then. First climber out from France, Julia Chenaldi, massively experienced in the game. Let's see what she can make of this mostly green hold-based women's final route. Looks like a super interesting route. Top hold is move 45. So many new features and shapes brought to this World Cup from the route setters and the organisers and the sponsors.
Yeah, these pinches actually look really nice. I saw them in the qualification route of the boys and was like, I want to have them too. They look so cool.
Just a really small...
I got to finals to hold them.
Small screw-on jib added into that one. That she's just moving off from the right hand up to the left hand there. Rocking onto this big volume just around hold number 15 at the moment. Said 45, so a long way to go yet.
Looks pretty solid until now.
Nice little pop-up. It was going to be interesting to see how fast the climbers actually moved up to that hold out on the right, and it is a massive jog, so we would have thought most of the athletes would take an opportunity to rest here.
Well, the starting part didn't look so hard, so probably they, if they feel okay, they make sure not to rest for too long so they don't get any trouble with the time later. Just to maybe just take a short breath and take another look at the route. That's what a lot of people do too when there's a small resting point at the beginning of the route. Wow. Okay.
Good use of flexibility there to try and avoid the jump.
Yeah, that looked really solid.
Interesting to see if other athletes will adopt a similar method. Potentially
Maybe.
Looking for a little bit more of a dynamic move out there.
So far, we haven't seen any moves she was really struggling with.
Yeah, it looks like she's built up a little bit of pump in the forearms, just shaking off a little bit, but seemingly in cruise control at the moment.
Even if there's not one really hard move, a selection of a lot of like semi-hard moves can make you really pump.
Yeah, she went actually from a knee bar there into a left heel hook. Crazy flexibility. This next move could be quite interesting though.
Oh yeah, there's the bouldering element again. Pressing.
Big press. We've seen multiple different press moves this week so far in both the men's and the women's competition. This is
She
going to
tried
be
to
interesting.
flip there, but decided to move on.
So much shoulder strength needed there. Flexibility definitely helped to pop the left foot up. Julia Shanadi also getting really close to the top of the wall here as well.
Yeah.
Are we going to see her repeat?
Again.
She's trying really hard now. She's really starting to dig in. She's still got a fair way to go actually.
Oh, you can see the fight in her face.
Let's hold 34. 35 is just above her. She has got 45 ahead of her. 10 more moves and potentially quite difficult ones as well.
This move looks really far actually.
Really good
That
effort.
also looks a bit of a dynamic move because I think it's really hard to keep the tension in both hands. So probably, like as it looked like she tried to step through with her left foot on the black volume that you can see there. Because I think she thought that her left hand is gonna pop.
Yeah, it was
Probably
only.
it's planned like this too.
Let's have another look.
It looks really, it's
Yeah.
really far to hold the tension in both hands.
I think it is far. It was only actually when she pulled into that position on the left, it looked so far away. I think when she hits that right hand, as she was almost trying to do, the right foot just jumping across to the black volume.
I'm pretty sure you can maybe do it, like probably you can do it both ways because some girls that probably we might see to are really good in locking off and maybe just lock off that move really easily and statically. But I'm pretty sure maybe the route setters also planned it with the stepping through method like a bit dynamically. Pretty sure you can do it like that too.
Yeah, that actually sort of like step through dynamic timing, coordination, foot plant, whatever you want to call it. We're seeing that move a lot more actually traditionally based on its bouldering roots, but you're starting to see it a little bit more in the lead. Luchka Rakovic out next then. 18 years old in her first ever senior lead finals. Obviously, as Hannah Schubert said earlier, has made boulder finals. Good to see her.
This year, right?
Good to see her on the ropes.
Yeah, she's having a really successful season so far.
I think if you're in the Slovenian team, it seems difficult not to have a successful season at the moment.
Yeah. Probably nationals were the same as well.
Nationals is probably harder than an international.
Yeah, same as for the Japanese. Yeah, also the Slovenian team trained in Innsbruck after our nationals on the routes, and they all look really strong. Like you can see when the whole team is coming, it's just like when you look at the team performance, they're already so good because they climbed the same route just next to you, and you see like one after another, like climbing really high or topping it. It's not just one good girl; it's a lot of them. They just run you over in your own chip.
Just whilst Luchka's working her way through this lower section, what's it like? Obviously, you train in the amazing gym in Innsbruck, probably close to daily, and you have these teams visiting all the time. Is it a positive thing to have so many athletes from other countries coming, or do you see it as sort of off-putting or distracting or unfair in any way?
It's hard to tell. I think it has advantages and disadvantages because it's always nice to like have a comparison to see like where the other athletes are, that you know where you are, like especially before the season starts. Of course, it can also be intimidating when they're all really good. And the last few days, it was really like last few weeks, it was really crowded because a lot of people were there. And on the outside wall, you can only climb in the morning, so it was only because then afterwards the sun is in. So it was always really crowded, which makes it a bit harder to train. But in general, I think it's really cool to see all those people and also, I mean, like watch those people and also learn from them, because they do the same routes as you, and maybe they do it differently, and you can learn like from another way how to do it.
Let's just see what Luchka does on this move then. Doesn't opt for the right heel hook, as we saw with Julia Chanody, just crosses easily with the right hand through. Just planted the right foot down on that lower pinch with a little jib added onto it, drilled the toe and just rolled through. Actually quite similar to what we saw at the bottom of the men's route, rolling over with the right hand and a little float down with the left.
I really like Luchka's style of climbing, because she's climbing really confident, like doesn't hesitate so much, she just does her thing, and it's pretty nice to watch, I think.
Seeing a lot of big holds on these routes here, and it is offering up the opportunity for the climbers to take two hands on the same hold to rest. Don't see that so often in the lead climbs these days. Introduction of the bigger holds can lead to that sometimes, depending on which angle they put on, of course.
It always depends on the feet too. Sometimes you have really good holds actually, but not so good feet, and then you can still not relax. You wish you could, but you can't.
Julia Chanody got a knee bar here on the right hand side. Then Luchka doesn't look like she's needing it, but she does get that really high left heel. Moving into this slightly awkward palm down move on that blue fiberglass volume you can see out on the left. Taking plenty of time on this route here, Luchka, climbing quite slowly up until now. There's the press. See how far behind her that volume is, but just pops the left foot up easily. I was just about to say puts it up really easily, but then just wobbled a little bit just as the final moment as the right foot released from the wall.
Matching their crimp really easily too. Looks really small for some people maybe, but you can hold it really easily. Still doesn't look too pumped.
Yeah, just skips it into intermediate there, straight into the crimps. Slovenian seems so happy on the small edges. This is where we lost Julia Chanody then, fighting for a high point here. Just looks around the corner, lines it up. There is a tick mark there for her. Luchka gets a big shout from the crowd, goes for it, and does try and drop that right foot out, but misses it. That will be a tie, most likely, between her and Julia.
This looks like a really hard move, because as you said, there's a tick mark, but I think it's still really hard to like get that hold at the right spot.
Yeah, that is move 35 to 36, so that would be a 35 plus. Let's have another look. It's really kind of round the corner, a little bit blind, and in the end she was actually quite a way away from landing that right foot. The right hand didn't have a chance to engage at all.
I think she was a bit too slow with the foot. It would have come a bit earlier.
I think to get the foot, she needs to really engage on the arm a little bit. And if you don't hit the hand properly, there's not much you can do about the foot, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so hard, because it's a little bit like around the volume, around the corner. It's always hard, like also if there's a tick mark. If you don't see the hold, it's always a bit like, scary to just jump there.
Well, we were talking about this in the men's final, actually. Will was saying in training it's quite hard to do big jumps like that in just on the training day, because it's such a big fall, and you know you guys are still human at the end of the day. It's a little bit uncomfortable just to take massive falls all the time, I think. And
yeah,
when it comes down to the actual competition, though, there's generally no hesitation. You just go for it.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't have any jumps in our nationals 2 weeks ago, but in the setting before in the outside wall we had a route with 2 jumps. And I'm saying that now because I saw Mia at a training camp climbing that route, and she nailed those 2 jumps really easily and just climbed it. Because I always find jumping in routes is really different to jumping in bouldering.
It's always a bit awkward. Yeah.
You're always scared to just jump into the rope, or the rope is in your way.
Well, and if you miss the jump, what's the rope going to do to your legs? Is it going to flip you? You're going to get rope burn. There's quite a few factors going into it that kind of play into the mindset. We also
saw some scary falls in the semi-final of the women.
Absolutely.
Like on the crux move to the second volume. Also a lot of girls got the leg around the rope and stuff. Just compassing.
Yeah, Mia Krempel looking so relaxed at the moment. Last time we saw her on the live stream was actually when she had that epic battle in Munich. Third, got a bronze medal taking away with that knee injury. She was just fighting it all the way through the competition and gained a huge amount of respect for just carrying on in the way that she did. A lot of physios were probably wincing at the idea of her carrying on, but seemingly she's absolutely fine now, no strapping on the knees whatsoever, so it's obviously just a small issue.
It also looks like she's not struggling with it now anymore. Looks fine. Which is good, because I think a lot of people thought she would struggle, have to rest after Munich too.
Yeah, potentially causing herself more damage than she was gaining by competing. But in the end, looks like she made the right decision. Obviously has a good team around her as well to help her with that decision making. Good shot up here. The clouds are coming over here in Villars. Conditions are definitely getting cooler and cooler as the night has gone on. We've had very hot conditions throughout the week. Nice little 1-2 there from Mia.
I guess that's the way the Britta has planned it.
Yeah.
Not a really hard move, just like a little pop.
Yeah, a little bit nervy.
Just for the crowd, entertaining the crowd.
Not taking too much of a rest before pushing into this next crimpy section, but that big blue volume is quite inviting from that position to hopefully get a bit of a shake if she needs it. Just struggling a little bit gaining into that undercut, but seems to have got the little, pretty sure there's a little,
sit on that volume
little addition in there. So Alex Magus fully on board. Big volcano hold at the top of the men's route earlier. So Luchka's looking pretty happy up there as well.
Yeah, I was standing next to Jakob watching men's funnel, and we actually thought he's not going to get out of that position anymore. It looked comfortable to stay there, but not to move on from there.
The way Mia Campbell just put that left foot up, she looks so relaxed. She's just opting to figure out what to do with the clip here. She's looking very, very fresh at this moment in time, you have to say. 2 minutes 38 left. She does have time on her hands as well here.
And if she gets to the same move as Julia and Luchka, we hope her bouldering experience from Munich will help her get that move done.
So at the moment, with two climbers falling off at hold 35 plus, which we're just about to see. Can we see a climber successfully stick this next hold on the blue volume? The small screw on with a big tick. She goes for it. And so close. I would say that was a fair bit closer with Julia and Luchka.
She tried to go with the right foot, just stepping again, which I think Julia tried to go cross through with the left foot. Which might be, afterwards to hold the swing a bit more comfortable, but it's a longer way for the foot.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have another look back at that. She sort of ended up toe poking the black volume a little bit. This is lower down. This stage in the route, she really was just kind of making a journey, making the process up to that move 35 plus, it seems. This is it then. She brings the left foot up off the screw, leans into it, hits it round the side, but carries a bit too much momentum, and her right foot, was just a little bit low on that black volume.
Yeah, just a little bit too low.
So the foot did touch it, but it was not in the right spot, unfortunately.
Seems like all three climbers who fought in don't struggle too much with the lower part. Let's see if that continues.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing at the moment. The first three climbers out have all fallen on the same move towards the top of the wall. Knight is young though, because Natsuki Tani.
Knight is young and so is she.
Yeah. Good line. 15 years old. So dominant in the Youth B World Championships in Moscow in 2018, winning both the boulder and the lead. But this is her first senior lead finals. First of the 15-year-olds then. What can she make of this women's route? Can she get past move 35?
Yeah, she would be one of these candidates where I thought she can maybe lock off that move for the others now. I mean, it's hard to tell because nobody of the others tried, so I don't know. If you could see if someone locks off and then reach, how far away is it? I don't know if it actually is possible to reach it. But I could imagine her trying it and being strong enough to lock this off and hold it. But let's see. Also, the Japanese team trained a few days in Innsbruck before coming here. And yeah, it was really impressive. Especially Aomori and Tsukitami I've seen in the qualification route of our nationals of the men. And it was a really powerful qualification with a lot of powerful farmers which just have to go, and it was like max span. But they dove just onside it really easily.
Just locking off those max span moves.
Yeah. If our boys would have seen that, they probably would have felt a bit bad not to top it off.
Austrian team now has a really interesting insight into the whole comp scene in general, because so many athletes pass through your gym on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's true.
Good opportunity to spy on the competitors.
Yeah. Well, maybe they come to spy on us, you know.
Wow, absolutely.
But I mean, yeah, I think especially for doing combined, our gym is just really good, because definitely for lead it's one of, if not the best. Bouldering, I'm definitely sure there are better ones in the world. But like the countries that have really good bouldering, like Japan or France, usually don't have lead and speed on the same place, which makes Innsbruck really nice to train on.
Yeah, efficiency in training, it's a no-brainer for a lot of these teams.
Definitely.
Tsukitani, this is going to be interesting, this first sort of slightly more dynamic move. What will she do? Just pounces, really, no issues, just hits the right hand with a little bit of speed, but then just floats nicely out to the left hand.
Perfect.
Interestingly, wearing socks as well. You don't see that too often in the professional end of the game.
Yeah, that's something you rarely see nowadays. Yeah, I'm surprised because
15 years old, her feet are still probably growing.
Yeah, but I just imagine it might be really slippery when you do heel hooks now.
Well, we will see if
maybe she has special socks.
It might be special Japanese socks.
Who knows?
Really chilled and relaxed atmosphere around the arena at the moment, as DJ's got the sort of mellow vibes on, as Tsukitani just slowly edges her way up this wall. Very slow and steady at this moment in time. Pretty slow indeed, actually. With just 2 minutes 25 remaining. But I don't think time really will be a factor here, but the crowd now gets on their feet for her, because they know at this stage in the competition, this is where the route really comes alive. It's about getting to this point, getting this clip done, and then firing through this next section, working your way up to hold 35 or 36. Again, another climber struggling with the clip. We've seen other climbers, Mia Krampel just before, matching that crimp. It is blocked, so it's not easy to match.
And Tsukitami is really, really strong on crimps. I mean, she's strong in every hold, but especially on crimps. Like, always when I saw it on crimps, I had the feeling I can like try to push her down, and I wouldn't succeed.
This is it then. She's into hold 34, and that is hold 35. Next move, if she can hold it, it will be 36. Opts to match on the lower hold. Goes for the left hand of hold 35, tries to push it out statically. She's still got a long way to go. It's round the corner. She's just realised she's got to go a bit further, but somehow just manages to come back into that rest position. Now she has her right hand where she potentially wants her left hand. It looks like she's going to try the same method again. Pushing off the left foot, trying to find something here in that Tsukitani. That is a great close-up of how close she is. It's agonising to watch. 5 centimetres roughly away from that next hold.
Actually,
1 minute
looks
left.
Like quite a okay hold. The hold looks kind of good, but because you go there, like the others try to go there dynamically, it's really hard to catch and hold.
The crowd builds for her one last attempt, surely, at this move. Pushes again. She's still got a long way to go. She's going to have to go dynamically, surely. Does go dynamically, comes too low on the hold.
And miss.
In the end, she had to use a very similar method, off a slightly lower hold than the other 3 athletes. And Tsukitani potentially could have gone earlier there to the hold.
Yeah, but she exactly tried what I thought, like to lock off. I expected it from her because she's a pretty static climber. Like, if she can do it differently, she always tries to do it statically. But I think there she was just I don't know if that move works statically. Maybe if you're a bit taller, but probably the better option. Also, the option how the route setters plan it is the dynamic way.
So 35 plus is what we're looking at the moment. 4 climbers now, first 4 out, falling on the same move. Route setter's having a pretty tough time of it tonight so far. She was very close to doing that statically, really.
And she missed it completely.
It's a little bit hard to know what would happen with the foot, but she was close to touching the hole, but in the end missed the move by quite a way because her feet weren't even really moving at that stage. Akia Noguchi will be out next, followed by Ai Mori, Jaeyeon Seo and Yan Yagambret to finish.
Let's see if Akia's experience helps her here.
Would you say the way Natsuki was trying that move, you say that if she can do it statically, she will? Potentially a more experienced climber may realise that the route setters, the way that they've set it with the tick mark and the size of the hold and the foot in route reading, it's quite obvious that it's a jump, and that experience just to not even to bother trying to go statically.
But I think the problem is that she knows that she's better in a static way, so she tries to try it her way because she knows she's more likely to fail trying it dynamically. But I guess a more experienced climber, maybe if like the climber knows that there are 2 options, wouldn't have tried it 3 times in a static way, like maybe trying it once and then, I mean, she was close, but I think she could feel that she would have to do a little pop in the end, and it's always hard to do a lock off, and if it's not enough, have to pop again.
Yeah, you've already gone to your maximum.
Yeah, it's better to just do it like all the way dynamically usually. So maybe someone else, I don't know if it has to do something with experience, but I guess other people would have just tried once and then they realized, okay, I have to try it another way. But yeah, I think she just really wanted to stick to her method because really, maybe it really seemed really, felt really possible for her. It's always hard to tell. We just look at the people, what we can't experience the feeling they have on the wall.
Yeah, and that move actually, from the ground, it doesn't look actually that far. It's only, as we said earlier, when you see the athlete actually up on the wall side by side with the move, it does seem to be quite a long way.
But you also held the lower of the 2 holds, so not the same way as Julia and Mia and Luchka did it. Like she tried to do it from the lower one.
Yeah, I guess she maybe decided early on in the observation that that's the method she would use.
Because it's a bit more to the right, but it's always also a bit lower, so it's hard to tell if it's actually easier.
Just a slight delay here as we wait for Akio. Spotlight is on the door from the
Hopefully there's
isolation
no
zone where she's coming from. Technical delegates aren't looking stressed, so I don't imagine there's too much of a problem here.
Even though Natsuki Tami took her time, so Akio actually had
She
quite
surely
a
had
lot of
time
time
to get
to
her shoes
prepare.
Unless she's lost a shoe.
Yeah, who knows?
Lost a chalk bag maybe. Wouldn't be the first time we've seen that today.
Borrowing it from Yanya, maybe. Yanya knows that she can climb without, so no problem.
Here we go, we can see from backstage and into the light, Akia Noguchi is ready. That is one climber who will definitely not be rushed into coming out onto the wall. She knows exactly what the deal is. So much experience.
I think the thing that also helps you when you climb in so many competitions already is that she's definitely knows how it feels like to climb in front of a crowd, and maybe is also less nervous. I mean, of course, like these young people are in their first final, so they also shouldn't have any pressure.
But they've also got nothing to lose in some ways, whereas
because,
when Akia comes out,
Yanya
Yanya comes out.
But I think it's a really like unusual feeling because everyone's looking at you, and it's World Cup routes are different to any other routes, like also in youth comps. So it's just might be a different feeling. But I mean, what I can say about Natsuki Tami, she didn't look like she has a lot of pressure. Like I think she just enjoyed climbing.
Yeah, I think she's got that ability just to focus on the route itself, just worry about the move ahead of you rather than the few thousand people who are behind you.
Yeah. It's also a better way.
Well, I think if you start worrying about what people are saying in the crowd, you're obviously not going to perform so well on the route.
Nah, probably not. Better to just concentrate on yourself. You can worry about the people once you're back on the ground.
So interestingly, according to our scores, Natsuki Tani wasn't given the plus from hold 35. I guess that's due to the sequence that she used.
Because she went from 34. And that's a shame for her.
She has been given the winner's throne though, so obviously she's not completely aware of that. The big golden chair.
I would also say, would not say no to sitting in such a huge chair. I mean,
yeah, I mean, comparing to the quality of the sofa.
If nobody calls me off, I mean,
take
why should I go away?
Let's see what Akia makes of this next move. A couple of different sequences we've seen so far. Judah Shanadi was the one who put the right heel up to right hand, but others have just gone through this method. Akia went a little bit straight arm there on the right hand. I thought she might have been in a slight bit of trouble, but nevertheless, Akia Noguchi, super experienced. We thought she might have been in trouble. A little bit of an ooh from the crowd, but seemingly not a problem whatsoever.
She doesn't seem so worried and bothered about it. I think it was more for the crowd, like a shock for the crowd than for her. But also what I experienced from watching Akia is sometimes she does like things in a route really differently, some sequences, some moves really differently and a lot harder. But she still like gets really high and maybe makes a high point or like is better than a lot of other people because she's just a lot stronger. But sometimes she doesn't choose the best, like the easiest Peter.
Yeah, I think I would totally agree actually. I've seen that from Akia a couple of times in the last few years. Luckily she's got the power to get herself out of trouble. Let's see what she makes of this shoulder press move then. You can see her just coming into the shot. Just searching up for a right hand there. It's so awkward because that press is so far behind you that she can't actually look up to see where the hold was.
You can see that being flexible is always an advantage here.
Definitely on this women's route you would have to agree with that. Akia opting for a little match just to get a bit of a shake and recover. She had no issues with that clip actually, managed to get a big stretch behind her to get that long draw that others have suffered away with a little bit.
It's not the biggest and best hold to shake out on, but
it is blocked as
she
well.
Likes it.
On the left-hand side, we see that time and time again with I have to say with the women's routes, especially the ability to match the small holds is really sometimes surprising for the route setters.
Well, all of the girls in finals have a really strong finger power.
Akia potentially being quite wise here, taking a big rest before this next section. That is seemingly the crux of the route. 35 plus is the leader at the moment with Mia Krampor. That is count back to the previous round. Not using that left hand intermediate. We've seen that as well already tonight. Let's see what she makes of this next section. Will all that amazing bouldering experience, those many, many gold medals in bouldering help her on this next section? Akia Noguchi then, the legend of the game.
What can she do?
Opting to have a quick shake, eyes it up, has a good look round the corner. This is it then. The same move again, big disappointment here really.
But it also didn't look like she really tried that hard. Like she didn't go so confident and she didn't try to do something with her legs. She just tried to hold it like this. But I think you really have to move your legs to right, otherwise you have no chance of holding the other one.
Well, she will move into a provisional first place. There is now 4 climbers on 35 plus, and Natsuki on the 35. Basically everybody in the women's route falling off on the same spot. Don't think that's really what the route setters had intended here.
Pretty sure not, no. I think also...
I was trying to be polite.
I know. I'm sure they appreciate that.
That was actually a really good close-up there of Akia. She had her hand right round the hold, so it proves that it's a good hold, but it's still not that good if you have to fire to it. Hitting the foot out and getting the timing right and the coordination with the right foot land seemingly is not that straightforward.
I think the route setters also thought that the moves until there, like the whole route until there, might be a bit harder, and that not everyone climbs until up there. But yeah, as we see, they're already strong and didn't struggle too much with the beginning. But then just that move is that move. It looks really, really hard. And we hope we see someone get past that one.
Oh, we do hope.
Hopefully.
3 climbers left, fingers crossed by everybody in the arena here. We want to see a show. Can we see a top? Ai Mori from Japan is next to try it. Another 15-year-old pulls onto the wall. Another 15-year-old who's extremely good results already. Boulder finals in Wuzhang this year. She won the Youth B World Championships in 2017 as well. So super experienced at 15 years old.
And I also heard last year in Moscow at Youth World, she actually would have been first after qualification, but had to fly back home because she was really sick. Which is a shame, because I think she was definitely, like, a lot of people expected her to win after like crushing it so bad in 2017 in Innsbruck. But yeah, she had to go back home, so I'm sure they made her sad.
Remember actually commentating on that final that she was in Innsbruck, and she just seemed to be that level above the rest of the athletes that night, or throughout the whole qualifiers and semis actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I remember her back then too.
Ai Mori, the 3rd Japanese athlete out. And Hannah, you were saying that you were actually kind of training side by side by the Japanese just recently. Everyone talks about the Japanese team setup and what it's like and everything. What did you kind of get from that?
Well, I think I never saw the whole team like climbing on the same spot because there were so many, so they had to split up a little bit. So I think some were climbing inside, some outside and stuff. Usually they come to the gym and do like some stretching and normal warm-up for like an hour before they start climbing. They just spread out in the whole gym with their black walls. And yeah, but you can see that they're just really motivated and like to try all those routes. I mean, in Innsbruck we also have a lot of cool routes. And they're always really friendly, greet everyone, and it's a nice team to have around, I think. I mean, of course, there were a lot of people, so some of them I think I didn't even see because there was just a bunch of Japanese people.
Crushing routes all over the place.
Maybe they even made timetables, like whose turn it is when, because they couldn't train all at the same time. But yeah, I think they have a really good team-like vibe, but they always cheer for each other. They seem to get along with each other all pretty well, which is really nice to see. Such a big team, it's like, can't take it for granted that everyone comes along with each other.
Ai Mori then just opting to put the heel up next to the hands there and managed to manufacture a really good rest here. She just goes up to that next right hand off of that heel, but does then bop down to the right foot to get up and established in that big green undercut. So a very similar amount of time left that we've seen from most of the athletes getting to this stage, but this move is quite critical though, as we saw with Tomoe Narasaki as well. It's definitely not over until it's over. It's possible to slip any stage on the lead route.
Wow, she still kept her foot on the right, which probably makes it a bit easy to flip that way.
Yeah, that hour of stretching they're doing in the gym in Innsbruck is definitely paying off here tonight.
But definitely because they're not only doing it in Innsbruck, but doing it every day.
Not just 1 hour that they did in Innsbruck. Ai Mori just looks down at the clock then, just over 2 minutes remaining. This is what we saw Akia doing, taking a bit of a rest here, but Akia didn't use that little intermediate. Ai does. Now this is it then. This is where podiums could be won and lost on this next move.
Really high foot here.
That's hole 35 now. What can Ai Mori make of this move? 4 climbers currently fallen off on this move. with 5th just tickling the hold.
Oh, that was close.
It's a big, big sigh from the crowd, but that does end up it's the same as everybody else up to that point. That was quite close, you have to say.
I think when she pulled back on, it didn't look like that she's gonna be so close, but then in the end she pulled through really well and got the hold, but she turned out a little bit too much. Like she was really far away from the wall in the end.
Yeah.
But her foot actually looked quite good. Her foot reaction.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to see that again. This route is coming down to this one move at the moment. Let's have another look. See how close she actually was.
She got it really well.
Had it solidly, really. Obviously, that is slowed down, so it's a little bit hard to tell. But I think I would say she got that in a bit more control than Akia.
Yeah.
Good to see the support from the massive Japanese team as always. Alongside Team USA, I would say they're definitely the loudest in the crowd.
Yeah, I would say. At speed final yesterday, I stood next to the US team, and even though they didn't have anyone in finals, they were definitely the loudest in the crowd.
Yeah, we had Kyra Conti on co-commentary this morning. She had a whole bag of throat sweets with her from cheering on the speed climbers last night.
Yeah, I can really believe that, definitely. But that means Aimori is already on the podium. Guess she's in first position now.
Yeah, with 2 climbers left to come. Chaeyoung Seo, 15-year-old, the final of 3 15-year-olds out here tonight. Her first ever IFSC senior level event. So obviously no stranger to hard competition, so winning the Youth B Asian Championships in Chongqing 2018. Say, Hannah?
Yanya with climbing without the chalk back in semis definitely impressed me, but this young girl really impressed me with her climbing in semis because she climbed it so well, like so relaxed, and just if she would have done this like so many times already, and she has a really nice style of climbing. I mean, I think in general the Korean guys climb really nice to watch, also as you know from Shanghai. And yeah, I really enjoyed to watch her. She was really, really good.
This is something I was actually talking to somebody else about earlier, but these days it doesn't seem like such a big leap for these athletes to go from the youth, doing really well in the youth, to doing really well on the senior stage. People in their first IFSC senior event making finals. I think in years gone by, 2 or 3 years ago, it seemed to be a really hard transition to go from youth into senior, but we're not seeing that so much anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's still a difference between men and women, because I think in men it's still a lot harder than in women, because you don't see so many. I mean, still you see really young ones in the men as well, but not so much as in the women. But yeah, I also think that our youth athletes got a lot stronger, let's be honest. Like, I think if some people from Youth B would be allowed to climb in the World Cup array, it would be interesting, like how good they will do. Yeah, it's interesting to see. Like, I think in the past it was more that just the really experienced and older athletes like got the higher spots, and maybe the freshmen like had to make sure to get into semis or something. But now it's different.
I guess with more money in the sport and better team setups, the athletes they've got so much more support to try and make that bridge as well, I think.
Yeah. I don't know how it is about in other countries, but we also have like sports schools where they support you doing your sport and having last school, then you could go to training, having training in the morning instead of like starting school later and stuff. I don't know how it works in other countries, but I think that also really helps to put a lot of effort into sport in really early years, and that's of course like you can see that later.
Chaeyoung just using a quick dab of a knee bar there before getting that left heel hook up. We're really getting into the top section of this route. No real surprises up to this point, but it's all about this head wall, really.
Yeah, she doesn't seem like bothered at all by the start here.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a process to getting up high. This move is not to be underestimated though. We've seen a marginal wobble by a couple of people just trying to squeeze the left foot up. so much flexibility in the hips actually through that move. Slowly up through hold 33 then. This is it for Chaeyeon Seo. If she wants to win this competition, she'll do really well to stick this next move. Could she be the first climber to get it? She eyes it up, the crowd go wild for her. She gets it and falls. Again.
She looked really similar to Akia, like just grabbing the hold but not doing so much with her feet.
So slowly up, I have to say, Hannah, I can see the route setters off to my right hand side. Let's just come to that in a second, as she didn't move the right hand foot at all, just pirouetted straight off of it, rotated.
Yeah, there's no chance of holding it like that.
Yeah, no movement in the lower half of the body really. Pretty disappointing. Not really for her, but just of that move
Not
in general.
really, but at what place she's ending up, but
yeah, she's fallen off the move, looks massively disappointed, but will be in first position.
yeah.
So guaranteed a second place.
It's always hard to
potentially,
tell because you
at least.
I mean, she's like first now from all the ones that fell there. Maybe some people would say, well, but this one was so much closer, but that's it. It's the same score.
Yeah, that's the game,
and
that's the
she
score.
still deserved to be in the first spot now because she did really well in semis and she did better than the others in semis. It's not about time. She actually had a better performance in the round before, so it's fair that she's on the first spot now.
Final climber out then, Jan Gamre. Hopefully she got her chalk bag clipped on securely for this, even though she didn't need it in the semi-final. It was an amazing moment. Go back and watch it if you can. I think the local MC has been a bit of a joke with her as well about it. But this route is it then, the final climber out. Basically every climber up to this point has fallen on the same move. Can Jan Gamre be the first climber to break the sequence and stick that jump out to the right-hand hold, out to hold number 36?
I think most of the people in the crowd think she's gonna do it and save the route setters from.
Do you feel like this
completely disaster? Let's say. I mean, still, if she does it, it's still not a really good climber result, but at least we see maybe the move getting done, and that would be great. If someone can do it, then her.
I mean, if she can do it, the crowd will go absolutely wild because they're here. They've been here long days. They want to be impressed.
And since the final started, they're here to see that move being done.
Well, from our perspective, we definitely want to see the move done. It would be a very, very large disappointment if it wasn't. Just the margins of route setting so difficult.
Yeah, I believe in her. I'm pretty sure she can do it. Also, Janja used to train in Innsbruck. Not only once, like she also came at the beginning of the year, I think, together with Dolman, not with the team. She has been in Innsbruck a few times in the last few months and since the beginning of the year.
Jan Gamre then, the statistics are incredible for her. Never missed a lead final. It's obviously here again tonight, but 56% conversion rate to gold medals for Jan Gamre.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy to even think about it.
She's such an impressive climber and always great to watch. And you would think that a successful climber like her would be at least a little bit arrogant, but she's not at all. Like when you see her, she's always like, yeah, you
Such
don't
an
feel
ambassador
that,
for the sport.
Yeah, if you would know, you would never feel like she would never let you feel how good she is and how successful she is. And what you could also see, she just loves climbing. She doesn't do it for any credit, success, money. She does it because she loves it.
Yeah, she's obviously looking confident because she's used a slightly different sequence on the lower two crimps just out the left. They're opting to go straight from the big jugs up to the top left-hand side pull.
Besides not to use the foothold on the right, just doing a heel straight up.
Realistically, both men's and women's routes have been too easy up to a move, or in the men's route up to the top.
Yeah, so it's not the best to for the crowd because they're like, okay, when are you gonna get to that move where it's gonna be interesting? But
well, I think the crowd is currently in a bit of a stunned silence, just waiting for Janja to get to that move.
hurry up, Janja, we want to see that move.
Can she put on the show that she so often does?
Wow, I think we haven't seen a tip getting done like this.
Yeah, there are still elements of information we can take out. There's a big risk there for Janja. Big rotation. She just breathes in quite quickly. She nearly lost it there.
That was scary.
That is one thing about Janja. She does take the risks in her climbing style.
But she had to wake up the crowd before getting to the move, right?
Yeah, she definitely had to try a bit there.
Come on, Janja.
Janja Garnbret then 25 gold medals between lead and boulder. Can she be the first climber to stick this move? Cold 36. She looks at it, goes statically. Janja Garnbret gets it done in style. So easy.
So easy.
Wasn't she on a different set of holds? That was insane from Janja Garnbret.
Okay, that was crazy. I did not
ridiculous.
expect her to do it that way. I thought she did it in the dynamic way. But it looked like, yeah, as you said, completely different holds.
With Janja Garnbret, by sticking that hold, she automatically wins the competition, but the crowd wants to see her top. Janja Garnbret, she is unbelievable. She's out for another show. 56% conversion rate to gold medals goes up. Another notch for Janja Garnbret. Gets the final quick draw. Now it has the top in her sights.
As she did that move, you were like, what did the others do? Like, why did they fail? Because it looked so easy.
This is a big move though, Janja. This is not over. Route setters have marked this as hold 37 just above, pressing into the volume before squeezing out right to hold 38.
Again, a really long move. Is it
Opting not to use the top of the volume, just fires out and falls off. No top for Janja Garnbret.
Not the end she would have hoped for, but I think she knows that that's another victory for her.
Another victory in the bank, another gold medal to take back to Slovenia. Janja Garnbret does it once again.
Definitely not the first one for this year, but the first one in late this year.
The question is, after winning 6 bouldering medals back to back, taking the sweep of the season, lots of talk on the internet, can she do it in the lead? Have you an opinion on this one?
Whew. It's really hard to tell. I mean, the season only started. Some people take a bit of time to get into the season again. Some people haven't competed, didn't take part on the stage of the World Cup. Shine Kim injured herself. Anna Verhoeven is not back yet. Ashima didn't compete. I mean, it's not that that I would say that they would have beaten Janja, but it maybe would have made her a little bit harder, more competition. But yeah, like as you see her shape now and as you see her climb, it's gonna be really tough for everyone to beat her this season in any discipline.
Let's have
Maybe
another
not
look
me, but
let's have another look at a couple of sections of Janja on this route then. As we saw with most of the athletes all the way up, this was actually a bit of a risk moment here for her. Just flipped the palm and took a big cut with her feet and managed just to hold the big release. And this is the top move when she went through move 35 plus into 36.
so easily.
She really was on a different route seemingly there. Take nothing away from the other athletes. So some of them got quite close to that hold, but nowhere near as close as Janja Garnbret. Janja Garnbret takes the applause from the crowd for the flower ceremony. Quick waves to the crowd. The main podium will be coming later on tonight. And perfect timing because the rain just starts coming down here in Villars. We've done so well to get all the way through this competition. Right at the end, the weather lets go, and really
right on time.
Hannah's going to have to say, I really don't like to criticise route setters because it's such a hard game. I've been there myself. I've tried hard in route setting. I know how hard it is, and at this level, it's brutally hard. They've worked so hard, but ultimately a big disappointment tonight.
Yeah, definitely. But they know them themselves, so
yeah, there's going to be nobody criticising themselves harder.
Yeah, than them. I mean, I think they always put a lot of pressure on themselves. They know that everyone will blame them if it's not going to work out, and they also want it to be a really good show. And I think that's why they're also going to be really disappointed. And yeah, hopefully some of them, if they set again, they will learn from their mistakes. And
well, that is the only way to actually learn in this game, and it's the first lead World Cup of the season, so it's not easy position to be
always in the first one. It's the hardest because you don't know what like everyone's shape is.
But having said that, they have had 2 rounds to learn from. They obviously made the level adjustments for the final to try and go for a big show. I did ask one of the route setters just before the final started. Said, the way you're describing it to me, sounds like you're going to live life right on the edge of your seats tonight to try and get a top, and he said, yeah, we're going to risk it.
Yeah.
Looks like that tiniest little bit of adjustment.
Yeah, and it's also, if you see like so many competitors are so close together, so it's also hard to divide them. So yeah, it's really hard. It's a really hard job.
This is Janja after she secured hold 36. Ruth says had marked it, so it's just a bit of a section on the top of that volume was hold 37, the top of that left hand that she was using to try and sort of more sort of palm and bridge across that corner into the groove. In the end, she did fall off, but at which point it was quite clear that she had won, I think.
Yeah.
She would have known. The crowd made plenty of noise for her. They wanted to see that move done, and in the end it did get done. So that,
yeah.
Of
course, it would have been nice to
from
see a few more moves, but yeah, I think that the last few moves up there were just brutal. I mean, I already expected that the last slab would be really hard, and as you can see, it was not just that move. It was because if a move kicks Janja Gambert out, we know that it's really hard one.
So as the rain comes down, route setters would do well to get out of the arena, unfortunately. I think, as you said, Hannah, they're going to be so heavily critical on themselves here tonight.
And I'm sure some people will also tell them their criticism. It's not that everyone's going to be
It's going to be a rough night.
Yeah. But yeah, the problem is Switzerland is a bit expensive to drink a lot. Forget about that.
Yeah, they're going to have a few tap waters tonight before getting in the car, and maybe a couple of them will be heading to Chamonix, and they'll be learning from this tonight.
Hopefully. We all hope so.
Great first lead World Cup. Of course, I was a little bit nervous, but the final route was really fun to climb. I heard that all the girls fell on the same move. I'm really happy with my performance.
After such an impressive boulder season, how did you feel about the transition to lead?
Yeah, the few weeks I had in between the last Boulder World Cup and Lead World Cup, I spent training for lead season, and I had quite a good feeling. But of course, I didn't know what to expect coming into the season, and I'm happy that I could start it with a win.
That's great, well done. And the Slovenian team in general is really strong. Do you have a ritual that you perform or something special that keeps you going?
I don't know. I'm always motivated to improve myself, not the result, but myself, and I think this is my biggest motivation.
That's great. Congratulations again on tonight, and we look forward to seeing you very soon next week. Thank you, Janja.
Okay. Thank you, Janja.
Great to hear from Janja Gambrit once again. Another win for Janja. And a great night. Hannah Schubert, it's been interesting in many ways. I call it a great night because it's a Lead World Cup. It cannot fail to be fun. It's been very fun for the people watching here tonight. A bit of a disappointment for many of the people at home, surely, but hopefully we can take a lot away from it and move on to Chamonix in just a few weeks' time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't the perfect show, but you can never have the perfect show.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back in Chamonix next week, so do join us then. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend, and have a good night.
Et on va en parler de Sascha Layman à Chamonix dans 4 jours. Et on en parlera bientôt, on en parlera j'espère pour la suite aux Jeux Olympiques. J'espère qu'il ira prendre sa place à Tokyo. Du 11 août au 21 août, les championnats du monde, test des Jeux Olympiques. Merci au club de Suisse, à Rachel. C'est magnifique, demain c'est la Coupe du Monde. Alors attention, tous les Suisses. Et nous allons encore une nationale, évidemment, ça va être merveilleux. C'est vrai dans l'histoire des Challenge, si on reprend l'histoire de Sascha Layman, sa première finale en Coupe du Monde a été ici l'année dernière, c'était là qu'il en fallait. Et sa première victoire sera ici. Il y aura une histoire de famille qui va avoir avec Villars, l'homme qui vient derrière. La machine à dire. Et je pense que c'est un des encore les plus sexy. Je pense que Didier est tout à fait bon, il se touche pas. Ça va. Rachel, merci Rachel pour tout le travail. Didier, ce qui se passe, c'est Didier qui couche sur la couche. Bon, Pierre Bello est avec nous. Tout le monde doit aller chercher un casque, les casques qui sont locatifs en ce temps. On prend la tête, mais pas mieux. Ça y va, parti. Et surtout, envoyez-moi cette remise de prix qui s'en rappelle, notre champion. IFSC. Le DJ est prêt. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome finalists of the Villars IFSC League World Cup 2019. The first will be presented by Magus IFSC President. Trophies will be presented by Mr. Villars. Special prize for the leader will be presented by Monsieur Limaison, Director of Criminal Switch. Ladies and gentlemen, bronze medalist representing Germany, Alexander Magus. Mr. Philippe Lema, Sir, comment de vous. Special prize for the winner will be presented by Mr. Luc Esson, Director of Premium Swatch. Bronze medalist, representing Japan, Ai Oi! Representing Korea, Seong So.